Chapter 756. Zhou Jiejia. Lin Jiyun seemed to have heard of this name. After all, Lin Jiyun wasn't the kind of student who didn't pay attention to the outside world. The school forum selected the campus belle of each department, and she was one of them. And a very pitiful girl. When Zhou Jiejia was mentioned, Qin Mingyan's heart was always a little blocked. She didn't know when she could wake up and enjoy this beautiful life again. In a while, let's go and see her. Maybe she will lie in bed for a lifetime. As Qin Mingyan said this, she looked a little melancholy. Isn't she from our university? Lin Jiyun suddenly remembered that Zhou Jiejia was also from Songjiang Industry University. Moreover, she was the campus belle of the computer science department. Why is she lying in bed? Lin Jiyun didn't know about Zhou Jiejia, so she had this question. There is a very complicated story in this. Let's go to the hospital first. We will talk about it while walking. Qin Mingyan was a little melancholy. She didn't have the mood to decorate the house. Okay. Lin Jiyun nodded. She saw that Qin Mingyan's mood wasn't good. She knew that something must have happened to Zhou Jiejia. Although she had some psychological preparation, when she heard Qin Mingyan say that Zhou Jiejia took the bullet for Yang Ming, Lin Jiyun couldn't help but be moved. Although Lin Jiyun would do the same if she were in Zhou Jiejia's shoes, it was different. After she had a close relationship with Yang Ming, she became so unhesitant. However, Zhou Jiejia didn't even get Yang Ming's love. She could do this. It could be seen how infatuated she was with Yang Ming. I have asked Yang Ming to take her over and take care of her for a lifetime. You won't have any opinion, right? Qin Mingyan thought. After all, Lin Jiyun was now Yang Ming's woman. This matter still needed to be told to her. Lin Jiyun naturally wouldn't have any opinion. Qin Mingyan had no opinion. How could she object? What's more, Zhou Jiejia's story was really sad and beautiful. Lin Jiyun felt that it was right to take care of her. However, Lin Jiyun was a little excited that Qin Mingyan could ask for her opinion. Did he have the right to speak in this family? Yang Ming didn't expect that the relationship between Lin Jiyun and Qin Mingyan would become so harmonious. When he called Qin Mingyan again at noon, he got a piece of news that made him even more stunned. Both of them were actually in Zhou Jiejia's ward. For a moment, Yang Ming was at a loss. He didn't know what exactly Qin Mingyan wanted to do. A three-party meeting? Are you going to the concert tomorrow? However, Yang Ming didn't care too much. He could do whatever he wanted. Anyway, as long as they didn't fight, it was always a good thing. Tomorrow I'm going. My dad is fine. Qin Mingyan's mood was still good, which made Yang Ming feel relieved. Then is Lin Jiyun going too? Yang Ming asked tentatively. You have to ask your sister Lin. After Qin Mingyan got along with Lin Jiyun in the morning, she didn't have the previous awkwardness. The relationship between the two was much more harmonious. Therefore, Qin Mingyan didn't feel that there was anything wrong with going to the concert with Lin Jiyun. As he spoke, the phone was handed to Lin Jiyun's ear. Lin Jiyun was shocked and hurriedly said, Hello? Jiyun, let's go to Shuya's concert tomorrow? Asked Yang Ming. Lin Jiyun was a little stunned by Qin Mingyan's sudden phone call. She didn't listen carefully to what Yang Ming said, so she agreed. Qin Mingyan smiled. Lin Jiyun's character was still a bit weak. She needed to be trained well so that she could be independent in society. Qin Mingyan wasn't a fool. Yang Ming's career was getting bigger and bigger. He would definitely need a lot of helpers in the future. The people who could be trusted by him, in addition to his parents and Zhang Bin, had to rely on his women. She wasn't a person who didn't have a sense of the overall situation. She knew that Yang Ming put Lin Jiyun in the position of the company's manager to train her so that she could be prepared for a bigger career in the future. Therefore, Qin Mingyan wouldn't deliberately suppress Lin Jiyun's ability. Through the last time in the car, she cried with grievance once. She also found out Yang Ming's weakness. Only the more she tolerated, the more tolerant she was, and the better she coordinated the relationship with Lin Jiyun, Yang Ming would feel more guilty about her. In this way, she could always maintain the most important position in Yang Ming's heart. Qin Mingyan took the phone and said to Yang Ming with some sarcasm, Your purpose of hugging both women has been achieved. What else is there? Yang Ming listened to Qin Mingyan's sarcastic tone. He was a little embarrassed and said, I don't mean anything else. I always have to treat everyone equally. I can't favor one and discriminate against the other, right? It's only fair that everyone goes together. I'm too lazy to care about you. Qin Mingyan snorted. Drive to the hospital to pick us up later. Okay, no problem. Yang Ming quickly agreed. Looking at Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun walking out of the hospital hand in hand, Yang Ming's nervous heart suddenly relaxed. It seemed that the relationship between the two really had a breakthrough. No wonder Qin Mengyan refused to go to the concert with Lin Jiyun 2 days ago, but she didn't put forward any objections just now. How is Jiejia? Yang Ming opened the back door for Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun and asked with a sigh. It's still the same. Qin Mengyan shook her head. Don't you want to go up and take a look? Today I won't go. Every time I see it, it will be very painful. Thinking of every morning Yang Ming still called someone to send flowers on time, and the ambiguous words on the cards were getting more and more ridiculous. This made Wang Xiaoyan want to kill Yang Ming. While she was sulking, the phone rang. Wang Xiaoyan looked at the phone number and directly hung up. But it didn't take long for the phone to come in again. Wang Xiaoyan hesitated for a moment and finally pressed the answer button. However, her tone was very indifferent. What is it? Baby girl, do you miss your father? There was a kind middle-aged man's voice on the other side of the phone. Oh. Wang Xiaoyan replied coldly. Hee. The person on the other side of the phone couldn't help but laugh twice. He was a little embarrassed. Are you still angry with me? Oh. Wang Xiaoyan still replied coldly. Then when will you come home? The person on the other side of the phone asked. Didn't we agree? Before I graduate from college, I have my own life. After graduation, I will listen to you and go back to get married. Wang Xiaoyan's tone was still very calm. That's fine. You take care of yourself. I'm hanging up. Remember to call your father often. The person on the other side of the phone said. Also, don't create the organization you created. It's just a small matter. The situation there is different from Europe. Don't cause trouble. It's none of your business. Wang Xiaoyan hung up the phone after she finished speaking. With a sigh, Wang Xiaoyan laughed at herself, but she was a little envious of the two girls in the opposite villa. In any case, they have their own love and their own pursuit. What about her? She ran out, but she was still monitored by the family. Although Wang Xiaoyan didn't know who her father sent, she could also feel that someone was always monitoring her. Chapter 757. Yang Ming, the culprit who made Wang Xiaoyan angry every day, was still unaware. Who would have thought that the flower delivery man would make such a blunder? However, Sun Jie could still receive flowers every day, so Yang Ming didn't suspect anything was wrong at all. Sitting on the brand new leather sofa, watching the two charming girls busily tidying up the new house, Yang Ming couldn't help but squint his eyes in enjoyment. In just 1 year he went from a poor boy with no money to a top billionaire with 10 billion yuan. He used to have some inferiority complex and still regarded Qin Mengyan as a dream lover, but he could actually have two. This made Yang Ming have an unreal feeling. King of assassins, special abilities, voodoo, these things that seemed to be very far away from life were actually related to him. Although there was some element of luck in his success. But things in this world often seem to be accidental, they contained inevitability. If Yang Ming didn't have compassion for the old man who set up the stall, then he wouldn't have gotten such a pair of glasses with special abilities. Similarly, if Yang Ming didn't stand up for Fong Tian in the detention center, the two people who didn't have any intersection would never meet again in the future, let alone Fong Tian accepting him as an apprentice. Therefore, Yang Ming's success wasn't enviable. Maybe some people would say that Yang Ming was lucky, but those were jealous people. Since ancient times, there have been many good people who inadvertently helped the gods and got successful stories and fables. However, most people have heard of similar stories, but when they encounter similar things, they won't do it. If others did it and got benefits, these people would be jealous. This was the twisted mentality of some people. If they were jealous, they would find ways to take it for themselves. This was the so-called an innocent man gets into trouble because of his wealth. Therefore, only a few trustworthy people knew that Yang Ming had special abilities and got the black gold from Dorsk. However, Shuya was an anomaly. When Yang Ming killed Dorsk and transferred the money, Shuya saw it all. If it weren't for Shuya's identity, which made Yang Ming seriously suspect that she had some connection with Suyao, Yang Ming would really consider whether to kill her. Yang Ming wanted to investigate Shuya's life, but unfortunately his sphere of influence was limited to Songjiang, or Donghai and Jiduan City, but that was only in the province, not to mention the distant Hong Kong. Old Buffon didn't have any power in Hong Kong, so it was difficult for Yang Ming to get anything useful. Even if he found a private investigator to investigate, he would only get the surface. Yang Ming, why are you sitting down? A shout interrupted Yang Ming's thoughts. When he looked up, he saw Chen Mengyan standing in front of him with her hands on her waist, staring at him. Listening to this familiar tone, Yang Ming had the illusion of returning to high school. At that time when he skipped class, Chen Mengyan always lectured him like this. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but smile. He patted his thigh and said, Come up and give me a hug. You're not serious. Chen Mengyan glanced at Lin Jiyun not far away with her eyes. She bared her teeth at Yang Ming and said, Who cares? Don't be mischievous. Come and help. Yang Ming knew that Chen Mengyan was embarrassed in front of Lin Jiyun, so he didn't force it. Things always had to be done step by step, right? With the current result, Yang Ming was already very satisfied. Although the house had been renovated, when it was really decorated, he found that there were still a lot of places to do. Even if the bedsheets were newly bought, Chen Mengyan was a clean freak. She washed them again and left them on the balcony. Most of the time, Lin Jiyun wouldn't express her own opinions, but Chen Mengyan would discuss with her if she had any ideas. This made Yang Ming feel very happy. Whether the harem was harmonious or not, it directly affected the quality of life and career of Yang Ming. Until the bought things were put in place, the three of them sat on the sofa tiredly. Chen Mengyan didn't have the mind to care about the fact that Yang Ming was sitting between her and Lin Jiyun at the moment. Because she was too tired, Chen Mengyan was too lazy to say anything. Besides, with Yang Ming's personality, this would happen sooner or later. Yang Ming leaned his head comfortably on Lin Jiyun's soft chest, but he put his hand on Chen Mengyan's thigh. Don't push your luck. Chen Mengyan patted Yang Ming's hand and told him not to move. What time is it? Lin Jiyun looked up by chance, but she saw that it was already dark outside the window. Yang Ming didn't move his head. His eyes turned and saw the phone on the coffee table not far away. Then he said, It's 8 o'clock. Are we going to do it? Lin Jiyun asked. Poochie. Yang Ming suddenly laughed out loud. He laughed until his whole body trembled. What are you laughing at? Lin Jiyun asked, baffled. Isn't it a bit too early to do it? What about Mengyan? Should we do it together? Yang Ming laughed until tears came out. What's a bit early? It's already 8 o'clock. It's not early anymore. Lin Jiyun was somewhat inexplicable. Chen Mengyan also didn't understand. She patted Yang Ming and said in a bad mood, Are you having epilepsy? Why are you laughing? Yang Ming sighed. My two wives are really too pure. If I were to say those words to Sun Jia, I don't know what effect it would bring. So he explained, Haven't you heard of a joke? What joke? We asked you what time it is. Why did you think of a joke? Chen Mengyan said angrily. The joke is like this. Yang Ming said with a smile, There is a couple. The husband asked the wife, What time is it? The wife looked at the watch and said 10 o'clock. The husband asked, Is it the same time? The wife said, It's too early. Others haven't slept yet. The husband was a little annoyed and asked, I'm asking you, is it 10 o'clock? The wife said, Is it 11 o'clock? The husband was annoyed and said, I'm asking you, is it 10 o'clock? The wife was also annoyed and said, I said 11 o'clock. If you don't do it for a day, you won't feel good, right? The husband said helplessly, I'm just asking, is it 10 o'clock? The wife said impatiently, Yes. Do it now, okay? Of course, the original joke was much more vulgar than this. Yang Ming just elegantly removed the swear words. Yang Ming said it so straightforwardly. How could Lin Jiyun and Chen Mengyan not understand? Chen Mengyan couldn't help but laugh and said, Yang Ming, you are really evil. Lin Jiyun was so shy that she blushed. How could she still laugh? She couldn't wait to find a hole to hide in. Between her and Chen Mengyan, only she and Yang Ming had that kind of relationship. Therefore, when Yang Ming said this joke, it seemed that she was in a hurry to do it with him. She said anxiously, I didn't mean that. I mean, is it 8 o'clock? It was fine if she didn't explain. Once she explained, Chen Mengyan coughed violently and almost laughed until she fainted. She said breathlessly, Yes. You two can do it now. I'm going upstairs. Lin Jun was about to cry and stomped her feet. I don't want to do it now. Then when do you want to do it? Chen Mengyan asked with a smile. Lin Jiyun found that the more she explained, the worse it was. It was better not to explain. Yang Ming on the side was stunned. It turned out that girls could be so fierce when they made jokes. In fact, the reason why Chen Mengyan was so open was entirely because she was facing Yang Ming and Lin Jiyun. Yang Ming was the closest person to her. Qin Mengyan would not avoid anything in front of him. Lin Jiyun was also the closest person to Yang Ming. As a result, it was much more natural. Seeing Lin Jiyun's aggrieved crying face, Qin Mengyan couldn't tease her anymore, so she said, "Okay, let's not joke anymore. We haven't had dinner yet. Let's go eat something together." "Let's go. I'm hungry too." Yang Ming stood up and said, "It's not far from the school. There are many restaurants nearby. Let's go and have a look." Lin Jiyun saw that everyone was no longer joking with her, so she naturally nodded. Wang Guifan returned to Zhao Ying's residence with some melancholy. She stroked the exquisite BMW car key and thought about how to talk to Zhao Ying. "Mom, why did you go out so early in the morning? Why didn't you tell me and Dad? We were worried sick." Zhao Ying saw her mother come back and said quickly, "Oh, it's like this. I went out to choose a car and a house for you." Wang Guifan said directly, "What? You went to buy a car and a house?" Zhao Ying was shocked. She thought last night that even if her mother went to buy a car and a house, she would find a way to stop it. But she didn't expect her mother to act so quickly. So she asked, "You have already bought it?" "Yeah, the money has been paid." Wang Guifan shook the car key in her hand and said, "I also bought one myself." "Where did your money come from?" Zhao Ying looked at the key in her mother's hand and was furious. "Isn't this causing trouble for me? What is my relationship with Yang Ming? How can you just casually ask for things from others? When the time comes, how can I pay it back?" "I called Little Yang and Little Yang directly asked someone to transfer the money." Wang Guifan said, "Little Yang is so straightforward." AI. Zhao Ying sighed. She didn't expect Yang Ming to be so indulgent with her mother, but what was he thinking? "Ying, come in. Mom has something to talk to you about," Wang Guifan said. Zhao Ying frowned and followed. Although she didn't know what her mother was going to do, she wanted to talk to her mother about the car and the house. After entering the house, Wang Guifan closed the door and sat on the bed. Then she said to Zhao Ying, "Ying, how is your relationship with Little Yang?" "What do you mean, how is it?" "It's pretty good." Zhao Ying was somewhat inexplicable when she heard her mother's question. Chapter 758. Is it really good? Wang Guifan asked suspiciously. "It's really good." Zhao Ying didn't know what her mother was going to do, so she nodded and said, Ying, then you tell me, how far has your relationship with Yang Ming developed?" Wang Guifan lowered her voice and asked quietly. "What do you mean?" Zhao Ying's face was red. Apparently she didn't want to talk about this issue, so she deliberately pretended not to know. "What other step? That is, how close are the two of you?" Wang Guifan didn't pay much attention to her daughter's expression. She thought that her daughter really didn't understand, so she explained. "Mom, why are you asking these questions?" Zhao Ying couldn't pretend not to understand this time. Her mother explained in detail. If she still didn't understand, then she was a fool. "Of course I have to ask." Wang Guifan said, "Mom has to understand your current situation. Since you don't want to say, then I will ask. Have you held hands?" Zhao Ying thought about it. Yang Ming really held her hand, but it seemed to be the kind of relationship between siblings. When they were robbed in high school, Yang Ming did hold her hand. In order to perfunctorily answer her mother, Zhao Ying nodded. "Oh, then have you kissed?" Wang Guifan continued to ask. Zhao Ying was stunned. She remembered the accident when she went to the temple fair with Yang Ming a few days ago. This kiss, although it was a bit of an accident later on, no one could say it clearly. It was full of feelings. Only the two parties knew. After hesitating, Zhao Ying nodded. If this wasn't a kiss, then what was it? Kiss. Seemed to be the same. Wang Guifan nodded secretly. Fortunately, this silly daughter still knows how to kiss, so she continued to ask, "Then have you guys gone to bed?" "What?" Zhao Ying widened her eyes and looked at her mother incredulously. After a while she said, "Mom, how can you ask this? Why can't I ask?" Wang Guifan said, "If I ask you, just tell me the truth." "No." Zhao Ying shook her head. "Not yet." Wang Guifan was also surprised. She frowned and said, "Why not?" Wang Guifan finally thought that she had found the crux of the problem. However, as long as the crux of the problem was found, there would always be a solution. "What do you mean by not yet?" Zhao Ying didn't understand what her mother meant. It was reasonable to say that premarital sex was something that every parent should resist, but looking at her mother's expression and tone, it seemed like she was complaining about why she didn't sleep with Yang Ming. Sigh. Wang Guifan sighed and said, Mom used to be your age. Especially a young and vigorous boy like Yang Ming, it's inevitable that he would have such thoughts and needs. If you don't give it to him, aren't you forcing him to find other women? The reason why Wang Guifan guessed so wasn't completely unreasonable. She was still very confident in her daughter's appearance and figure. She wasn't a national beauty, but at least she was one of the best. If she participated in a talent contest, it wouldn't be strange to get the first place. Therefore, Wang Guifan thought that the reason why Yang Ming went to find other women was because her daughter wasn't willing to be closer to him. Which man would be able to endure it? Mom, what do you want to say? Zhao Ying saw that her mother's words were getting more and more outrageous, so she couldn't help but stop. What did I say? Don't you understand? Wang Guifan shook her head and said, do you know what I heard when I bought the house today? What did they say? Zhao Ying was inexplicable. They said that Yang Ming has a villa in the place where I bought the house. Moreover, he bought it with his girlfriend. Wang Guifan said in a hurry, and that girlfriend isn't you but a girl surnamed Qin. Ah. Zhao Ying was stunned and said, you know it? What do you mean I know it? What do I know? Wang Guifan was stunned when she heard Zhao Ying's words. He immediately understood. So, you know about this matter? Zhao Ying didn't know how to explain it. Just now, when her mother suddenly mentioned this matter, Zhao Ying was shocked. She inadvertently said the wrong thing and exposed herself. Ying, why are you so stupid? Yang Ming has an affair with another woman behind your back. It's fine. Why don't you care when you know it? Wang Guifan said resentfully, what are you thinking? Mom. Zhao Ying couldn't speak because Qin Mengyan was Yang Ming's girlfriend. How was she? What qualifications did she have to care about others? However, how could she tell her mother? What me? Since you know about this matter, then it can't be ignored. Wang Guifan said, even if you acquiesce to this matter, at least you have to talk to Xiao Yang. You have to always maintain the image that you are his legitimate girlfriend. What have you become now? You see, he bought a villa for the little vixen, but he didn't buy one for you. How can this be? You call him now and ask him to come over. If you can't say it, I will say it for you. Wang Guifan's calculation was to use this matter to get some benefits from Yang Ming. The reason was very simple. If you bought a villa for a woman outside, then you have to buy a manor for Zhao Ying, right? Mom, can you stop messing around? When she heard that she had to call Yang Ming, Zhao Ying was anxious. I will handle my own matter. Can you not participate in it? Why can't I participate? I am your mother. How could Wang Guifan let it go? Since she had caught Yang Ming's weakness, how could she give up if she didn't use it to get more benefits for herself and her daughter? If you don't call, I will. Seeing that her mother was really going to make a call, Zhao Ying simply said, Mom, don't call. Qin Mengyan is Yang Ming's real girlfriend. What? Qin Mengyan? Who is it? Wang Guifan was stunned. She didn't expect there to be a sudden change. Mom, it is the girl surnamed Qin that you said. She is Yang Ming's girlfriend. Since Zhao Ying confessed, she didn't care. Her? What about you? What happened to you? Wang Guifan asked in amazement. I temporarily called Yang Ming to pretend to be my boyfriend. I wanted to fool you and Dad. Zhao Ying lowered her head and whispered. What you said is true? Wang Guifan asked numbly. Yes. Zhao Ying nodded. It is pretending? Wang Guifan suddenly felt like she was struck by lightning. She covered her chest and her face became pale. How could this be? Wang Guifan didn't expect the truth of the matter to be like this. Although Wang Guifan thought before that maybe Yang Ming wouldn't give up the girl surnamed Qin, this was nothing. Zhao Ying was wronged. As long as Yang Ming's feelings for Zhao Ying were real, she would accept it. However, the current situation was that the girl surnamed Qin was Yang Ming's boyfriend. Her daughter and he were just pretending to be a couple. How could Wang Guifan accept this? Today she just enjoyed the benefits of being rich and powerful. She just thought that the rest of her life was settled. She could be a superior person, but it turned into nothing? How could Wang Guifan bear this? This feeling of losing something after having it was the most uncomfortable. Ying, you didn't lie to Mom, right? Wang Guifan looked at her daughter absent-mindedly. I didn't lie to you. Zhao Ying looked at her mother. How could she not understand the loss in her heart? Sometimes, Zhao Ying could understand her mother's greed and snobbery. After all, she had suffered for most of her life. So she said, Mom, don't be like this. In the future I will earn a lot of money for you. Ying, you don't understand. No matter how much you earn, can you afford to buy a villa? Can you afford a BMW? Wang Guifan shook her head. This feeling of being rich and powerful you won't understand. Mom, let's return the car and the house tomorrow or return them to Yang Ming. Zhao Ying sighed. This is my fault. No. After Wang Guifan heard Zhao Ying's words, she suddenly thought of something and said, since he pretended to be your boyfriend, why did he buy you a car and a house? How would I know? Maybe he has money? Zhao Ying couldn't explain it clearly, otherwise she wouldn't be upset. Has money? Just buy things for others with money? Wang Guifan shook her head. Who's a fool? Buying a house and a car for an unrelated person? Even if he has money to burn, he won't do this kind of thing, right? Then, I don't know. Zhao Ying shook her head. Right, Ying, you said before that you held hands and kissed. What happened? Wang Guifan was snobbish, but she was still a little smart. Those were accidents. Zhao Ying hesitated. Accidents? I don't think it's that simple, right? Wang Guifan seemed to have grasped the life-saving straw and quickly asked, you tell Mom in detail. What happened? Actually, Zhao Ying and Wang Guifan were mother and daughter after all. Zhao Ying was also very upset these 2 days. She couldn't figure out the things between Yang Ming and herself. Now that there was someone to talk to, Zhao Ying simply didn't hide it. She told the several things that she and Yang Ming had experienced. The more Wang Guifan listened, the more relaxed her frowning brows became. After listening to the end, she showed a faint smile. Ying, tell Mom the truth. Do you like Xiaoyang? Zhao Ying bit her lip and softly said, and, if I guessed correctly, Xiaoyang also likes you, right? Wang Guifan asked with a smile. I don't know. Zhao Ying shook her head. Silly daughter. Wang Guifan shook her head and sighed. Isn't this obvious? If he doesn't like you, why did he ask you to go to the temple fair? If he doesn't like you, why did he take on these trivial matters? Is it so easy to pretend to be someone else's boyfriend? Besides, he is willing to spend a lot of money for you. If he has no feelings for you, will he do this? Chapter 759. Yang Ming is a very good person. Zhao Ying hesitated and said. Although she was also somewhat inclined to her mother's point of view, this was after all a guess. Besides, even if this was the case, what could she do? Yang Ming's girlfriend was Qin Mengyan. This was a fact that couldn't be changed. No matter how good the person is, I have never heard of anyone buying a house and a car for a beggar. Wang Guifan saw it clearly. Mom is telling you that Xiaoyang must be interested in you. What can you do? Zhao Ying simply didn't argue with her mother about this issue. She just said, Yang Ming has a girlfriend now. Yeah, as you said, so what if he has a girlfriend? Wang Guifan said with some disdain. A girlfriend isn't a wife. As long as you aren't married, you have a chance to compete. Mom, what are you talking about? Zhao Ying was stunned and then immediately said with a straight face, you want me to destroy other people's relationship? How can this be? Why can't it be done? If Xiaoyang doesn't like you, you are shamelessly sticking to him. That is destroying other people's relationship. But you are different. You are in love with each other. How can you say that you are destroying it? Wang Guifan said. Mom, can you not come up with these bad ideas? Zhao Ying frowned. Yang Ming is not the kind of person who likes the new and gets tired of the old. Let's not talk about whether I can succeed or not. Even if I succeed, how can you guarantee that there won't be another girl in the future to take Yang Ming away from me? Wang Guifan obviously didn't think of the more profound meaning of this layer. She just considered the immediate benefits. Since Zhao Ying analyzed it like this, she had to consider it carefully. Indeed, what Zhao Ying said was very reasonable. If her daughter's intervention could make Yang Ming abandon the girl surnamed Chen, then he might abandon Zhao Ying one day in the future. However, if she didn't do this, what else could she do? Wang Guifan couldn't bear to see the glory and wealth at her fingertips disappear overnight. Now that she finally saw a glimmer of hope, how could she give up so easily? Ian, you don't have to worry so much. A woman's happiness sometimes has to be fought for by herself. If you miss this opportunity, there won't be another one. Wang Guifan gritted her teeth and said. She really didn't want her daughter to become like her in the future, snobbish and greedy, but there was no other way. She lived like a dog for a little money. She did not want her present to become her daughter's future. Although on the one hand Wang Guifan couldn't give up the temptation of wealth in front of her, but more importantly she was planning for her daughter's future. In fact, this worry was also due to some kind of abnormal psychology. With Zhao Ying's current conditions, not to mention finding a rich man, at least finding a white-collar or civil servant with a stable income was more than enough. However, Wang Guifan was a little too worried. "Mom, I actually have a plan. Can you not add to the trouble?" Zhao Ying hesitated and confessed. Since her mother did not object to the matter between her and Yang Ming, and even facilitated it, Zhao Ying no longer hid her thoughts. "Oh." Wang Guifan was a little surprised after listening to her daughter's words. "You already have a plan? What's the plan? Tell Mom about it." "Mom." Zhao Ying thought about it and gritted her teeth. "If I don't get married for a lifetime, will you scold me?" "Don't get married for a lifetime?" Wang Guifan was stunned at first, and then faintly understood Zhao Ying's meaning. "You mean you want to do it for little Yang, Mom? In fact, in addition to Chen Mengyan, Yang Ming also has a woman." Zhao Ying simply said all she knew. Although the relationship between her mother and herself was not very harmonious, if she really went to that step in the future she must pass the test of her parents. She couldn't not go home for a lifetime, right? So before that she had to get her mother's support. "There is more." Wang Guifan frowned after listening. To be honest, Wang Guifan did not object to her daughter's approach, but she was quite critical about Yang Ming having a woman outside. "Then will he still be good to you?" "Yang Ming, he is not that kind of person." Zhao Ying was very familiar with Yang Ming's temperament, so she said with certainty, "Well, since you have your own idea, Mom won't say anything more." Although Wang Guifan was a little unwilling, this result was acceptable. Said she was not a fool. He could see that Yang Ming was really good to Zhao Ying. He didn't just want to play with her. Wang Guifan also had some understanding of these rich children. She knew that if they just wanted to play with women, it was impossible to spend so much money, and it was even more impossible to be so patient after not getting started for so long. "Mom, are you saying that you support me?" Zhao Ying was overjoyed. The most important hurdle of her parents was actually passed just like that. "Of course I support you, but Ying, Mom still has to remind you." Wang Guifan said, "Although little Yang is really good to you now, you also have to remember that you must take what you should take. Otherwise, when you break up in the future you won't have a stable life." "Oh." Zhao Ying said so, but she didn't take it to heart at all. How could Wang Guifan not see it? But she also knew that it was useless to say more now, so she simply didn't say it. She planned to nag later when she had time. "Then Mom will go first. You can think about it again." Wang Guifan stood up, pushed the door and went out, leaving Zhao Ying in a quiet daze in the room. Originally he thought that at this time the restaurants near the school would be very quiet and even closed early. But after Yang Ming drove over he found that every shop was in full swing. Many years later, some rural students who returned to school early came here to do short-term work as greeters to earn some tuition. "3 of you, please come in. 3 of you, what do you want to eat?" "Our restaurant's specialty, roasted lamb leg, is the best." Such voices came one after another. Yang Ming didn't know what to eat. In the face of a group of enthusiastic girls, Yang Ming really couldn't refuse anyone. He had to look at Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiun. "Which one shall we eat?" Yang Ming smiled bitterly. "How about hot pot?" Chen Mengyan was also a little embarrassed. Each greeter cast an expectant look. The closest one to them was a hot pot restaurant. Okay. Lin Jiun didn't care. He was not picky. Yang Ming knew that these bosses gave these greeters a commission in order to attract customers. Therefore, every time they attracted a customer they would get a lot of income. Seeing that the 3 people had made a decision, the other greeters showed a disappointed expression on their faces, but there was no other way. Every industry had its own rules. They couldn't just rob from others, right? The greeter of the hot pot restaurant was happy. After all, Yang Ming and the others were eating here, so they got a commission of 10 yuan. Yang Ming and the others were about to enter, but they heard a noise coming from the side. "Who are you? Can you not bother me?" Another voice said, "Son, I am your father. Why don't you even recognize your father?" Both voices were very familiar. Yang Ming couldn't help but turn his head. His expression was very surprised. The 2 people who were arguing over there were actually Chen Afu and Chen Dezhuang. Chen Afu was wearing a waiter's uniform at the moment, and Chen Dezhuang grabbed his hand and refused to let go. Chin Mengyan also heard the conversation between the two people. She also looked at Chin Afu and Chin Dezhuang with a stunned expression. Chin Afu and Chin Dezhuang are father and son? This was something that Yang Ming couldn't think of in any case. The two people pulled and quarreled. Chin Afu impatiently shook off Chin Dezhuang's hand, then he got into a taxi parked on the side of the road and quickly left here. Chin Dezhuang, on the other hand, had a face full of sighs and worries. He staggered as he watched Chin Afu's car leave. Then he slowly walked away. Your second uncle and Chin Afu are father and son? Yang Ming looked at Chin Mengyan strangely. How would I know? Chin Mengyan shook her head. She also looked suspicious. Second uncle was sentenced when I was very young, and my second aunt took the child and ran away with someone else. We have lost contact since then. Besides, this kind of cousin is not very close. I don't know much about it. Otherwise, how can I not know that I am related to Chin Afu after being in the same class for so long? Yang Ming nodded. Chin Mengyan was also telling the truth. This kind of cousin, if you want to talk about it, even people who couldn't reach each other could be considered as distant. They weren't familiar with each other, not to mention that her second aunt ran away with another man. After that, they lost contact, so it was normal that they didn't know each other. However, it was really amazing that Chin Afu and Chin Dezhuang could be connected together. Yang Ming shrugged and didn't take it seriously. He couldn't care about the private affairs of other people. He walked into the hot pot restaurant with Chin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun and left this matter behind. Chin Afu was really baffled today. Out of nowhere, a person suddenly appeared and claimed to be his father. There was no end to the dilly-dallying. He still had things to do urgently. His master, Elder Yu, was in a hurry to find him, so Chin Afu had to rush over as soon as possible. He could only get rid of this inexplicable man first. Recently, there were always police cars patrolling on the road with flashing lights parked on the side of the road, which made it difficult for Chin Afu to make a move on the cars on the road. Elder Yu was probably looking for him for this reason. Although Chin Afu didn't know what kind of evil voodoo Elder Yu practiced, Chin Afu was still very happy to do this kind of mutually beneficial thing. Chin Afu felt that he was like the king of hell who controlled the life and death of others. As long as he appeared, someone would die. Chapter 760. I say, buddy, have you heard of a haunted incident recently? The taxi driver passed through a relatively secluded alley and was a little scared. He couldn't help but chat with Chin Afu, who was sitting behind him. Recently, Songjiang had a rumor of a haunted incident. It was said that when driving at night, it was easy to encounter a ghost. It was said to be a legend, especially among the taxi drivers who worked the night shift. They were on the road every day, so naturally they paid special attention to these things. When they were eating together, the taxi driver also heard others talk about a haunted incident. Previously, at the entrance of the restaurant, there was a lot of noise. Naturally, he wasn't afraid. Now that there was no one in this alley, how could he not be afraid? Haunted. The corner of Chin Afu's mouth curled into a sinister sneer as he calmly asked, "What kind of ghost?" I haven't seen it, but I heard that it was scary. It only had half of the head and it was bloody." When the driver said this, he couldn't help but shudder. "That's quite interesting." Chin Afu smiled and said, "Interesting? I say, little brother, you didn't see it. After seeing it, you will be scared to death." The taxi driver snorted. "Really?" Chin Afu said faintly, "Stop the car." "Stop the car? Aren't you going to West Star Mountain?" The taxi driver asked curiously. "It's still far from West Star Mountain. I suddenly remembered that I have to do something here." Chin Afu grinned. "Boy." The taxi driver stopped the car. Since the customer wanted to get off here, what opinion did he have? Chin Afu paid the taxi fare and then said to himself, I didn't bring hell money." "What? What did you say?" The taxi driver was stunned. His face was a little nervous. He looked at Chin Afu and said, "Little brother, it's late at night. Don't joke around. It's creepy." "I'm not joking." Chin Afu opened the door and got off, but he didn't close the door. "Is there anything else?" The taxi driver was a little baffled. "Oh, I just wanted to ask you. That ghost, does it look like this?" Chin Afu suddenly asked. "What the hell?" The driver raised his head inexplicably, but he suddenly realized that Chin Afu's face, which was originally fine, had suddenly become bloody. Half of his head was overflowing with brain matter. "Ah!" The driver let out a strange cry and instinctively wanted to escape quickly. He stepped on the accelerator and the car flew out quickly, but he didn't pay attention to the front. With a bang, the car hit a large garbage dump and the front of the car immediately caved in. Chin Afu shook his head and scolded, "Idiot, can't you tell the difference between an illusion?" After he was done, he felt a little smug. The illusion brought by this goo technique was really not for show. It was much more effective than those hypnotic techniques. These low-level voodoo had no lethality, but it was enough to scare people. After Chin Afu learned it, he used it vividly. Chin Afu took out his mobile phone and dialed Elder Yu's phone number. "Hey master, it's me Fu. I just killed someone on the ancient Han Road. Why are you here now?" Xia Shui looked at the messy scene and was at a loss. It was really difficult to find witnesses in this kind of backstreet alley. If it were normal times, it might be treated as an ordinary traffic accident, and the criminal police department would not be notified, but now it was a sensitive period. The traffic police who came saw that the scene was suspicious and immediately called Xia Shui. Because of this, although Elder Yu absorbed part of the blood of the dead body to quench sinister voodoo, he left some leeway, so the body did not mutate like Su Daji's body on West Star Mountain. This was also done by Elder Yu in order not to attract too much attention from the police. Although the effect was not as obvious as before, it was a long-term plan. If there were mutated corpses everywhere, some mysterious departments might be sent to participate in the investigation. At that time there was no telling what would happen. After Xia Shui took photos of the scene, the rest was handed over to the forensic doctor to find out the cause of death before the next decision could be made. While eating, Yang Ming received a call from Wang Guifan. "Little Yang, it's me, Yingying's mother," Wang Guifan said with a smile. "Oh auntie, hello. What's the matter?" Although Yang Ming was not very impressed with Wang Guifan's character, he was still very polite to her because of her relationship with Xiao Ying. "This is the case. I was thinking that since the house is bought, shouldn't we decorate it and add some household items?" Wang Guifan said very righteously. "I'm sorry auntie. I almost forgot." Yang Ming's own house was also renovated for a long time after he bought it. He just bought a bunch of household items today. After the house was bought, it could not be moved in directly, so Yang Ming did not think much about it and said directly, "How much does it cost?" "I haven't calculated it." Wang Guifan wanted to ask for 200,000 first, but she didn't open her mouth. "So, I will ask someone to send you 1 million first. If it's not enough, you can call me." Yang Ming estimated the price according to the standard of his villa. Ah! Wang Guifan was delighted. This was far more than her budget. The rest of the money, wouldn't it be? Yang Ming wouldn't ask for it back? "That's fine. I will wait. I will ask someone to contact you now. Is this the number?" Yang Ming glanced at the caller ID on the phone and asked. Yes. Wang Guifan said quickly. "Okay, you wait for a while." After Yang Ming finished, he called Bao Sanli and asked him to find someone to do it. Originally, Wang Guifan had some doubts about whether Yang Ming could be good to her daughter in the future. Now that Yang Ming gave her 1 million without hesitation, she no longer thought about it and waited for the phone call happily. Not long after, someone who claimed to be Mr. Yang's subordinate called and asked for Wang Guifan's location. He said that he would immediately send the bank card to her. Sure enough, after less than 20 minutes, someone knocked on the door. A young man in black handed a bank card to Wang Guifan respectfully. Wang Guifan was so excited that her hands trembled a little. After sending the person away, she picked up the phone excitedly and checked the balance on the card. There was actually 1,200,000. The bank was closed at night. Bao Sanli couldn't open a new card, so he simply found a card with a similar amount and sent it to Wang Guifan. Anyway, he didn't care about the small change. Wang Guifan really wanted to scream loudly. As she was excited, Xiao Ying came over and looked at her mother strangely. She asked, "Mom, what's wrong with you?" "No, nothing," Wang Guifan said quickly. "What are you holding in your hand? A bank card?" Xiao Ying saw the bank card in her mother's hand and couldn't help but frown. "What happened?" "This is the case. Xiao Yang gave me 1,200,000 to renovate the house." Wang Guifan knew that even if she hid it, her daughter would know from Yang Ming, so she simply said it. "The renovation cost more than 1 million? Xiao Ying looked at her mother in amazement, but she immediately understood something. She couldn't help but say with some displeasure, "Mom, how can you be like this? How many things have you asked for from Yongming today? Now you still want money? My daughter has been given to him. What's wrong with me asking for some things? Wang Guifan disagreed. Zhao Ying looked at her mother's appearance and knew that it was useless to say more. She couldn't help but sigh. The relationship between herself and Yongming is getting more and more unclear. How can I face it in the future? Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiun still had to go home at night. Qin Fei had nothing to do, so Mother Qin didn't have to accompany him overnight. In the senior management ward, there were specialized nurses taking care of him 24 hours a day. There wouldn't be any major problems. Therefore Qin Mengyan had to go home and she couldn't bring Yongming home with her. As for Lin Jiun, when she saw that Qin Mengyan had gone back, she was embarrassed to live alone with Yongming. Especially after the joke of whether or not was made, Lin Jiun didn't want to be laughed at by Qin Mengyan. After sending off the two women, Yongming drove home alone. When he passed by the Hanxi Ancient Road, he saw many police cars parked on the side of the road with flashing lights. A taxi that was smashed beyond recognition had been pulled into a tow truck. Among the crowd, Xia Shue's figure was among them. Xia Shue. Yongming opened the window and shouted at Xia Shue. Xia Shue heard the shout and looked back. She saw Yongming. She came over with a bitter smile. Why? Are you passing by? I'm going home. I passed by here and saw you by chance. Yongming explained, so I said hello. You're frowning. Why? What's wrong? Isn't it because of the investigation of the haunting? Xia Shue lowered her voice and said. She had nothing to hide from Yongming. The relationship between Qin Fei and Yongming was there, so Yongming was clear about Qin Fei's matter. Yongming was also present that day. Recently there have been public opinions and rumors in Songjiang City. If it isn't solved as soon as possible, there will be big problems. Haunting again? Yongming frowned and seemed to think of something. However, there were too many things recently and some of his thoughts were unclear. He had to comfort her. Don't be too tired. Have a good rest. How old are you? Don't be so tired that you have wrinkles and can't find a husband. If I can't find a husband, I will find you. Xia Shue clenched her teeth and said fiercely. Yongming let out a "nah." Only then did he realize that his words were a bit ambiguous. Last time he almost had something with Xia Shue, which made the relationship between them somewhat unnatural. Xia Shue was just joking, but when she saw Yongming's awkward look, she couldn't help but think of some past events. Her face turned red and she explained, I mean, if I have no food in the future, I will find you. But you promised me. It was fine if she didn't explain. Once she explained, it became more ambiguous. Chapter 761. Ugh, no problem. After Yongming listened, he couldn't help but remember the previous scene. He nodded awkwardly. But fortunately, Yongming's face was getting thicker and thicker, so there wasn't too much unnaturalness. After Xia Shue explained, she probably felt that her explanation was easy to misunderstand, especially since her relationship with Yongming wasn't so pure. Originally, Xia Shue and Yongming didn't have to worry too much about what they said and did. Therefore, she didn't think about whether the words long-term meal ticket would cause any ambiguity in the association. Xia Shue didn't understand anything, but she was more careless in the past. She didn't care much about this, but now it was different. She thought about what she said. It seemed that it was a bit too easy to cause misunderstandings, so she coughed twice and said, Then, I'm on duty now. Let's talk another day? Xia Shue was much more mature than half a year ago. She had some leadership qualities in her gestures. When this sentence was said, it didn't seem abrupt. Instead, it was very natural. Yongming nodded and glanced at Xia Shue. If there is anything, call me. In fact, if you don't always go against me, we can still be good friends. We can drink together another day. Xia Shue nodded. Hehe. Xia Shue smiled and waved to Yongming. Okay, then it's settled. Looking at the tow truck that was far away, Yongming hesitated. The shabby taxi had a feeling of déjà vu, but he couldn't remember where he had seen it. Yongming shook his head. Maybe I'm too sensitive. Things like taxis are everywhere on the street. It's not surprising that I have a feeling of déjà vu. When he got home, he saw his parents sitting on the sofa in the living room and talking about something. His father frowned and held a cigarette in his hand. He seemed to be troubled. His mother, on the other hand, was unhappy. She said to herself, If you let him come, then I won't go to work. Now there are many units that invite me. But now it's not just a classmate relationship. His family also has some connections. It's reasonable for me to refuse. Yang Dahai said helplessly. That won't do either. You know what Qian Xinxing was like when he was in school. Sticking to me all day long. Mother Yang said with some disgust. What era was that? What's more, old Qian is married now. He just came back from studying in Japan a few years ago. He's a lot more mature now. Yang Dahai said. Now, the general manager of the X steel factory who is cooperating with the factory is his brother-in-law. How can I refuse? Dad, Mom, what are you arguing about? After Yang Ming entered the house, he quickly asked. One of your mother's pursuers wanted to enter the company and take a senior position. Your mother and I are discussing what to do. Yang Dahai didn't hide it from Yang Ming. He had already regarded Yang Ming as an adult. I just heard that his family has some connections. What's going on? Asked Yang Ming. This is the case. After the company's reform, the steel factory that originally cooperated with the company can no longer meet the company's production needs in terms of raw steel supply. We can only contact another steel factory. Yang Dahai explained. You also know that the current steel factory is a monopoly enterprise. It's basically a seller's market situation. Although our relationship with the local government isn't weak, the steel factory is in another province. We can't let the leaders put pressure on others. In this negotiation, the other party's general manager put forward a condition. There is no problem with the supply, but his brother-in-law just came back from studying in Japan this year. He studied marketing. He recommended him to work here. In fact, it was said that he recommended a talent. In fact, it was clear that he was using it as an exchange condition. If I don't agree, there won't be any future business. How much does he want a yearly salary? Asked Yang Ming. About 1 million, but this doesn't matter. The company doesn't lack this money. Even if he comes and doesn't do anything, it's still okay to raise a person. Yang Dahai said until here and said, so I agreed before, but I didn't expect that when we had lunch together, I found that the person who came was actually your mother's and my former classmate, Qian Xinxing. Then you hesitated and my mother was a little unhappy, right? Is that so? Yang Ming said with a smile after listening. Yang Dahai laughed twice and agreed with Yang Ming's point of view. Dad, Mom, I won't say much about this, but I think that I'm already so old. My mother isn't the kind of person who likes to do scandals, so it's not a big deal. Yang Ming said. That's also true. You see, you're not as good as a child. Yang Dahai said to Mother Yang, do you think I don't know your character? It's impossible to do anything with old Qian. Something could happen, it would have happened long ago. Would you still marry me in the past? What nonsense are you talking about? I'm just afraid that he will have some ideas and affect my work. Do you think I'm afraid that something will happen between me and him? Mother Yang said angrily, this time in order to prove my innocence, I really have to let him come. Otherwise it would seem that I have a guilty conscience. Hee hee. Yang Dahai didn't expect that his son's words would stimulate his wife to agree. He smiled and said, then it's settled. I can also reply to people. However, if he really has any bad signs, just fire him directly. There's no need to leave any face. Yang Ming said, as for the manager, leave it to me. Yang Ming's consistent point of view was that if you can't negotiate, then you have to use violence. Generally speaking, this kind of rich corporate executives were more afraid of death. The method of using violence to control evil was most suitable for them. In particular, these people usually didn't dare to call the police, fearing that it would lead to a fatal disaster. Although Yang Dahai didn't know what solution his son had, during this time, Yang Ming's calmness made Yang Dahai completely relieved. Yang Ming went back to the bedroom and turned on the computer. He wondered if wild female teacher could come online again. However, when Yang Ming logged into QQ, he saw a gray profile picture of not online. Yang Ming sent a message and asked if the other party was online, but he didn't get an answer. Yang Ming couldn't help but feel a little regret. Why didn't he ask more about the other party's information when they were chatting and playing cards? You are here. Yang Ming opened a new message from I'm a superstar. There's no true love in this world. And I'm here. Yang Ming returned a message. I'm a superstar. What are you doing? I haven't seen you online for a long time. There's no true love in this world. I've been busy recently, so I haven't been online. How are you recently? I'm a superstar. AI, aren't you busy with the concert? I'm tired to death. Yang Ming looked at the message sent by, "I'm a superstar." He couldn't help but laugh. He thought, how can you still be so good at pretending? Yang Ming didn't think that the other party would be a superstar. The reason was very simple. Which star had the time to chat with a strange netizen online? However, Yang Ming was still very cooperative and sent a message. "Concert, where is it? Can I go and see it? I'm a superstar. Can you come? That's great. I will ask someone to send you a ticket. You tell me the address." Yang Ming was stunned. No way. It's so realistic. So he continued. "Okay, I'm in Songjiang, but I'm going to see Xu Ya's concert tomorrow. Your concert can only be postponed for a few days. I'm a superstar. There's no true love in this world. Are you angry with me? I'm a superstar. No, I just want to say that I will hold a concert in Songjiang tomorrow." Yang Ming couldn't help but smile. This netizen is really funny. Does he think I am Xu Ya? There's no true love in this world. You don't want to tell me that you are Xu Ya, right? I'm a superstar. What do you think? There's no true love in this world. Okay, see you tomorrow. I'll sit in the VIP seat. See if you can recognize me. I'm a superstar. It's a deal. I have to rest. See you tomorrow. Yang Ming simply took this as a joke. Tia, she knows how to chat with me. And it's a good netizen? The next night, before 17 o'clock, there was a sea of people at the entrance of the district stadium. Although the concert was scheduled to officially open at 18 o'clock, those excited fans didn't wait at home at all. They all came to the square at the entrance of the stadium early. In the square, on the large advertising screen, Xu Ya was beautiful and dignified, kind and natural. The fans spontaneously put up long slogans under the billboards. "Xu Ya, we love you. Xu Ya, welcome to Songjiang." Such banners could be seen everywhere. The entertainment reporters also rushed to the scene early. They set up their cameras and were ready to get the first-hand news. Although there were many people in the square, these people were not messy. Instead, they stood together in groups. Because they were all fans of Xu Ya, they all came here with the same expectations and purpose. Even so, Bao Sanli still sent all the bodyguards of the Mingyang Security Company to maintain order at the scene. The relevant departments in the city also gave instructions. This was the largest national concert held by Songjiang in recent years. No mistakes were allowed. Because this concert brought immeasurable economic value to Songjiang's tourism, catering and hotel industries. The hotels that usually had less than 30% occupancy rate were now full. Although Bao Sanli didn't need to listen to anyone, it was also very good to have a good relationship with the competent departments of some companies. Bao Sanli's company was being bleached. It had to be said that this was also a good opportunity. Bao Sanli and Ho Zhenhan came to the scene early because Yang Ming said that he would come. In that case, it wouldn't be strange for these two heavyweights to appear together. Chapter 762. There was no doubt that the concert was very successful in terms of promotion and planning. This was the first time that Xu Ya held a concert in the mainland, and the first stop was actually chosen in Songjiang, a small place that was not well known. While everyone was puzzled, they had to come here from afar. After all, this was the first concert and the sensation it brought was unparalleled. Although Xu Ya had stops in many cities after that, the second stop was Macau. This made many of Xu Ya's fans somewhat impatient. If they wanted to see the concert as soon as possible, they could only come to Songjiang. After all, the Hong Kong, Macau and Taiwan passes were not so easy to get in any city. Just like when Yang Ming went to Hong Kong, Songjiang was a prefecture-level city. It was very troublesome to get a Hong Kong, Macau and Taiwan visa for personal travel. This couldn't help but make people feel a sense of detour. It was much closer to go directly from Hong Kong to Macau than to go to Songjiang and then go to Macau. This also led to a lot of doubts and speculations. They all guessed what special significance Songjiang had for Xu Ya. However, the most sensitive tabloid reporters couldn't find any valuable clues. On the one hand, Xu Haiku's power in Hong Kong was great. No one dared to touch confidential things. On the other hand, they really couldn't dig up any clues. After Xu Ya arrived in Songjiang, the people she contacted were nothing more than the organizers here. There were no others. Now Xu Ya endorsed Lu Weishan Jewelry and Mingyang Heavy Industry. Most people thought that the reason why Xu Ya chose here as her first stop was because she had a cooperative relationship with the two companies here. Yang Ming looked at the dark crowd outside the car window and said to Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiun, Let's not get off the car. I will call Bao Sanli to come out and pick us up. Let's enter the stadium from the dedicated staff passage. This atmosphere makes people feel good. I want to go down and take a look. Qin Mengyan was infected by the atmosphere at the scene. She was also a fan of Shuya, but she was not so crazy. But when she saw that the people at the scene were cheering for Shuya, she couldn't help but want to be one of them. Yang Ming hesitated. Although there were fans of Shuya here, Yang Ming was still worried about the safety of Qin Mengyan. After all, there was nothing wrong with being careful. I want to go down and take a look. Lin Jiyun spoke at this moment. Yang Ming looked at Lin Jiyun strangely because he knew Lin Jiyun's character very well. He knew that she wasn't someone who liked to join in the fun. Lin Jiyun's right. Yang Ming parked the car in the parking lot's dedicated area for work vehicles. This BMW was the original car of Bao Sanli and Ho Junhan, so the security guards at the scene knew it. They didn't need to show their ID and no one came up to check. After parking the car, a sharp-eyed security guard who recognized Yang Ming ran over. Brother Yang, President Bao and President Ho have arrived. They're waiting for you. They're already here? Yang Ming didn't expect Bao Sanli and Ho Junhan to come so early. He thought about it and said, I will walk around nearby first. I will look for them later. Okay, Brother Yang. The security guard nodded. He thought that after Yang Ming left he would inform Bao Sanli. Yang Ming accompanied Lin Jiyun and Qin Mengyan to the square. In the square there were some vendors selling light sticks and small flags. For these things the security guard saw them, but they didn't drive these vendors away. After all, this contributed to the atmosphere of the scene. Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun bought a light stick and a small flag. They shook it in their hands with satisfaction. Yang Ming found it funny. It seemed that the guests in the first row of the VIP seats rarely brought these things into the venue. As everyone knew, the first row of the VIP seats in the concert were some people with status. The tickets in this row weren't sold to the public. Generally, they were the higher-ups of the organizer. Do you want a ticket? A young man with a cigarette in his mouth walked over to Yang Ming and the other two people and asked in a low voice. Ticket? What ticket? Yang Ming was stunned. Coming here, what else can it be? Of course, it is the concert ticket. There aren't many. If you want it, hurry up. The young man said. How much is it? Yang Ming asked casually. 800, the ordinary seats upstairs. The young man said. 800? So expensive? The normal ticket price is only 300, right? Yang Ming frowned. He had long heard that the scalpers were very black-hearted, but he didn't expect it to be so black-hearted. TSK, that still needs to be calculated, right? Can you buy it for 300 now? The young man said disdainfully. That's not right? I heard that the ticket sales are very strict this time. One person can only buy 2 tickets. Is there a strict control of ticket scalpers? Yang Ming asked, baffled. In the beginning, Bao Sanli vowed that the ticket sales were public and he was determined to crack down on ticket scalpers. When he just arrived, he met a ticket seller. Our boss's father is. The young man just said half a sentence and he was interrupted by a young man wearing sunglasses behind him. Don't talk nonsense. The young man in sunglasses patted the young man's shoulder and stopped him. Boss. The young man's face suddenly turned pale. He remembered that the boss told them to be low-key. Forget it. The young man in sunglasses waved his hand and then looked at Yang Ming. Why are you asking so much? If you believe it, then buy it. If you don't believe it, then leave. We have tickets. Yang Ming glanced at the young man in sunglasses and remembered his appearance. Although the big pair of sunglasses blocked half of his face, it was useless for Yang Ming. Yang Ming wanted to get some information, but now it seemed impossible. This young man in sunglasses was very vigilant. Why are you still wasting time with us when you have tickets? Go. We are still doing business here. The young man waved his hand impatiently. When Yang Ming walked away, the young man scolded, Idiot. Idiot? He isn't. The young man in sunglasses shook his head. I have seen him. He seems to have a good relationship with Ho Junhan. Ah? That won't involve you, right? The young man was stunned. Why should I be afraid of him? My dad is the vice president of the company. Ho Junhan can't offend my dad because of such a small matter. The young man in sunglasses said indifferently. Indeed, Yang Ming didn't tell Bao Sanli about the scene he saw, but he silently remembered it in his heart. But he didn't expect that one day this scene would become his trump card. After walking around the square, most of the people he met were Shuya's fans in this area who were recruiting members. Although Lin Jiyun and Qin Mengyan also liked Shuya, they weren't crazy enough to join the fan club. After all, celebrities were out of reach. Even if they chased Shuya crazily, they wouldn't chase Shuya all the way home. Shuya was still everyone's Shuya, so Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun wouldn't do such meaningless things. The groups in the square were mostly gathered in the name of various fan clubs. Qin Mengyan and the others didn't join other people's fan clubs. Naturally, they couldn't participate in other people's activities. At this time, Bao Sanli called and asked where Yang Ming was. Yang Ming asked about his current location, and then he went with Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun to meet him. At the entrance of the staff passage, he saw Bao Sanli and Ho Junhan. Both of them were standing there. Presumably, they didn't dare to go in to rest because he hadn't arrived yet. Unconsciously, Yang Ming found that his prestige had been established. Now Bao Sanli and Ho Junhan had more awe than respect for him. "Have you been waiting for a long time?" Yang Ming smiled. "Not yet." Bao Sanli smiled. "Just now there was a subordinate who informed us that Brother Yang had arrived. So we came out." Yang Ming nodded and then suddenly thought of something. "Right, send me a copy of Ming Yang Entertainment's personnel information tomorrow." "Why? Brother Yang, do you have a problem with anyone?" Bao Sanli was shocked. "I'm afraid that someone didn't do a good job and Yang Ming found out about it." "That's not it. I'm just looking around and understanding it," Yang Ming said indifferently. The topic was over. Yang Ming and the others entered the stadium through the staff passage. "Right, do you want an autograph?" Yang Ming suddenly thought of something and turned to Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun. "Can I?" Qin Mengyan was delighted. After all, girls had vanity. A copy of Shuya's autograph was enough to make many people envious. "Of course, no problem." Yang Ming turned and asked Bao Sanli, "Where is Shuya?" "In the dressing room just over there." "I'll take you there." Bao Sanli pointed to the front and said. Su Li knew Yang Ming, so when Yang Ming pushed the door and came in, she didn't stop him. Instead, Shuya had her back to the door and asked, "Su Li, who is it?" "It's Mr. Yang." Su Li said. Shuya was looking down at the concert list. When she heard the words, she turned around and was delighted. However, when she saw the two beauties behind Yang Ming, she was a little worried. However, there was nothing unnatural on her face. "Yang Ming, you are here? And my girlfriend said that she wanted your autograph. So I brought them to find you." Although Yang Ming was polite, his behavior was not polite at all. He sat on the sofa in the dressing room. Turned out to be like this. Of course, there is no problem. When Shuya heard this, her heart immediately became active, but she looked at Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun quietly. She said, "These two sisters. Who is?" Shuya didn't expect that Yang Ming's girlfriend would be her fan. How could she not take the opportunity to win him over? However, Shuya also had a little thought. When she opened her mouth, she turned Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun into two sisters. Chapter 763. In fact, in terms of age, Shuya was the same age as Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun. To be honest, Shuya was slightly younger. Her birthday was in December, so she was worthy of being called a little sister. However, Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun didn't think about this problem. Being called a little sister by a big star, any fan of Shuya would be happy and excited. Yang Ming was a little embarrassed. Although he had vaguely talked about the problem of the two girls with Shuya before, when he really brought them over, it was still a bit unnatural to introduce them. "This is Lin Jiyun. You have seen her before. She is Qin Meng." Oh, it turned out to be like this. Shuya didn't show the slightest abnormality. Shuya had seen Lin Jiyun, but she had never seen Qin Mengyan. Based on her feelings, she had already determined that the girl next to Lin Jiyun was Qin Mengyan. She was just confirming it out of politeness. Shuya took out two newly released CDs from a drawer. After signing, she handed them to Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun. "There is still time. How about we take a picture together as a souvenir?" In fact, Shuya wanted to take a picture with Yang Ming openly and keep it with her. When she missed him, she could take it out and look at it. Okay. Qin Mengyan naturally didn't understand Shuya's thoughts. She was very happy with Shuya's enthusiasm and affinity. Qin Mengyan, Lin Jiyun and Shuya took pictures separately. When it was Yang Ming's turn, Shuya asked inadvertently, What about you? Me. Forget about me. Yang Ming wasn't interested in chasing stars, so he said indifferently. Qin Mengyan saw that Yang Ming wasn't very interested in Shuya, and she was a little annoyed. A big star took the initiative to take a picture with you. What kind of face is this? If it were other fans, they would definitely rush to get it, but Yang Ming said, forget it. In fact, this was also because Qin Mengyan felt that Yang Ming and Shuya wouldn't have any other relationship, so there would be such a reaction. A big star and a college student, the two people shouldn't have any intersection. However, Qin Mengyan ignored that Yang Ming's current identity wasn't just a college student, but a billionaire with tens of billions of dollars. She didn't expect that there was an unknown relationship between Yang and Shuya. Yang Ming, why are you not giving me face? Qin Mengyan whispered angrily. Of course. Of course. At least Shuya, who was close by, heard it clearly. Of course. But seeing that Yang Ming didn't seem to have much interest, he didn't force it, so he said, then let's share a picture together? Okay. Without waiting for Yang Ming to speak, Qin Mengyan spoke first. Yang Ming had no choice but to stand up. However, when taking the photo, everyone's standing position was a bit difficult to arrange. For people took a photo together. There was always a priority. If Shuya stood in the middle and Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun stood on both sides, then Yang Ming's position was a bit awkward. Should he stand on Lin Jiyun's side or Qin Mengyan's side? However, if Yang Ming stood in the middle and Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun stood on both sides, then wouldn't Shuya, the protagonist, have to stand on the side? This seemed to be a bit unreasonable. The best solution was for Shuya and Yang Ming to stand in the middle, and Lin Jiyun and Qin Mengyan to stand on both sides. In this way, even if they weren't next to Yang Ming, they would be next to Shuya. It was justifiable no matter what. This was also the result that Shuya wanted the most. She had analyzed these assumptions before, so she proposed the request for a group photo. Qin Mengyan was very generous and stood on the side of Shuya. Lin Jiyun stood with some awkwardness on the side of Yang Ming. Su Li picked up the digital camera and selected the continuous shooting function. She took 7 or 8 photos in one breath. She and Shuya were usually the closest people. She understood Shuya's thoughts very well. Although she didn't know that there was an old relationship between Shuya and Yang Ming, based on the current situation, Shuya must have a good impression of Yang Ming. Originally, as an agent, she should dissuade and kill Shuya's idea. After all, it wasn't so good to have a scandal with a female celebrity. However, her boss Shu Haikua didn't object, so Su Li didn't have to worry about that useless thought. In order to be afraid that Shuya would be dissatisfied, she took a few more photos to prepare for selection. After taking the photos, a staff member came in. When he saw Yang Ming, he nodded and said, Miss Shu, the concert is about to begin. Do you want to prepare? The fans over there have begun to enter the venue. He knew the identity of Yang Ming. He was a member of the organizer, so he didn't find it strange that Yang Ming was here. Shuya nodded. Then let's enter the venue? Yang Ming turned to Shuya and said, I wish you a successful concert. Thank you. Shuya smiled sweetly. Qin Mengyan, Lin Jiyun and Yang Ming came out of the dressing room together. Qin Mengyan was obviously dissatisfied with Yang Ming's behavior. Shuya is a big celebrity. Why are you so arrogant? What's wrong with a celebrity? Isn't a celebrity also a person? Yang Ming smiled indifferently. I didn't talk to her so much. Wasn't it because I was afraid that you would be jealous? I won't be jealous. Qin Mengyan snorted and didn't care that Lin Jiyun was also there. She blurted out, didn't we agree before? If you pursue her, I will never be jealous. Qin Mengyan had already regarded Lin Jiyun as one of her own, so there was no need to avoid anything. However, after she finished speaking, she remembered that Lin Jiyun was now a member of the family. She also had the right to speak. She asked, Sister Lin, you can object. I have no objection. Lin Jiyun naturally prioritized Qin Mengyan. She was already very happy to be with Yang Ming. She didn't have too many requests. You see, we have no objection. You missed the opportunity. You can't blame us. Qin Mengyan smiled and put her hands together. Yang Ming shook his head and didn't take it too seriously. Celebrities looked beautiful, but the turbid and dirty entertainment circle was no longer a secret. Since the pornographic photos were exposed, Yang Ming had no interest in these celebrities. Although Shuya seemed to be very pure, who would know the things behind her? Yang Ming didn't want to be made a cuckold. Bao Sanli and Ho Junhan didn't dare to go far. They were waiting for Yang Ming not far away. When they saw Yang Ming coming over, they quickly greeted him. "Brother Yang, are we going in now?" "And let's go now," said Yang Ming. Several people entered the VIP seats in the front row of the concert through a special passage. This place was separated from the audience behind. It was a relatively independent area, so there was no noise from people coming and going. Yang Ming's position was in the middle of the VIP seats. Bao Sanli and Ho Junhan sat next to him. Both of them were boorish people. They didn't chase after celebrities and they weren't very interested in the concert. However, since Yang Ming came, it wouldn't be good if they didn't come. So they sat by the side. Those who entered the venue were some of Songjiang's famous young masters. Their parents were either rich or high-ranking officials. Most of them were tickets given by Bao Sanli. These officials and businessmen naturally didn't have the leisure to come to the concert, so they gave the tickets to their children to let them come and watch. However, Yang Ming had only heard of these people. He learned some information from Bao Sanli, but he didn't have any dealings with them. What surprised Yang Ming was that Sun Jiwei actually came too. Sun Jiwei and Wang Jitao were messing around last time. After Sun Jie found out, she scolded Sun Jiwei severely. Later, when he saw that Yang Ming actually became his brother-in-law, he didn't dare to do it again. However, he didn't have much of a good impression of Yang Ming. When he saw that Yang Ming was here, he didn't come to greet him. Yang Ming didn't care. He just regarded Sun Jiwei as a child. With Sun Jiwei, there were a few young men who he didn't know. However, at first glance, he could tell that their family conditions were very good. They looked arrogant. Yang Ming didn't bother with him. For this kind of child's temper, he always had to suffer some losses to gradually mature and grow up. Now, with his relationship with the Sun family, he really couldn't do anything to Sun Jiwei. What made Yang Ming feel a little surprised was that the young man who sold the tickets at the door was actually sitting in the VIP seat. "Who is that?" Yang Ming pointed to the young man and asked Bao Sanli. "Oh, the young master of the company's vice president Chu. What's wrong? Brother Yang, did this kid offend you?" Bao Sanli asked subconsciously. "Not really. I'm just asking." Yang Ming waved his hand and didn't say much. Sure enough, it's the company's internal affairs. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. No wonder he could get the tickets. It's hard to guard against a thief in your own home. How can I stop this kind of internal scalping? Yang Ming looked at these young dignitaries of Songjiang. These people were also looking at Yang Ming. Sitting in the middle of the VIP seat, accompanied by two beauties. The strangest thing was that they had never heard of this person before. Especially with the two underground kings, Bao Sanli and Ho Junhan, accompanying him, this made Yang Ming's identity even more suspenseful. There weren't many people in the VIP seats. After a while it was full of people, but the audience hadn't been seated yet. It was bustling and only half of them had entered. Yang Ming. A familiar figure flashed into the VIP seats. When he saw Yang Ming, he called out strangely. Yang Ming looked up and saw Tian Donghua and his girlfriend Wang Shui. Old Tian. Yang Ming was also surprised that Tian Donghua would appear here, but after a little hesitation he understood. The Tian family in Donghai was similar to Bao Sanli in Songjiang. Because of the relationship between Yang Ming and the Sun family, Bao Sanli would give some VIP tickets to the Tian family. "You are here too? Damn, your seat is very badass, right?" Tian Donghua saw where Yang Ming was sitting and couldn't help but be stunned. At 6:25 that night, the bright lights in the stadium suddenly dimmed, and the audience cheered in the stands. This was the precursor to Xu Ye's appearance. Every celebrity's concert was probably like this. No one knew who started it, but the audience began to call Xu Ye's name loudly. From the beginning it was messy, but later it was neat and tidy. In this cheer, the exciting and passionate music sounded. The little fluorescent sticks were waved, forming different words. The most common was the English abbreviation of "I love you." In the dynamic music, the stage slowly rose. The silver lights lit up, and the mist generated by dry ice curled around the stage. Xu Ye was dressed in white and stood in the middle of the stage. She looked exceptionally tranquil and pure, just like a high and mighty holy fairy. For a time, the people in the entire stadium held their breath. The people who were originally noisy quieted down in an instant. Even Yang Ming couldn't help but be shocked by Xu Ye's current appearance. A woman could attract him so much. This kind of charm made Yang Ming, who had been with women for a long time, couldn't help but be moved. So beautiful. Qin Mengyan praised. I didn't expect Xu Ye on the stage to be so unreachable. Just now in the dressing room I didn't have such a feeling. Yang Ming nodded and said, Kiske, now you regret it, right? I just asked you to take a picture but you didn't give me face. Qin Mengyan said sarcastically. Hee, that's nothing. Yang Ming smiled and said, what's wrong with taking a picture? I can't take her home to be my wife. You want to? Qin Mengyan rolled her eyes at Yang Ming. I'm very supportive of you. I'm just afraid that you can't do it. Who can't do it? Yang Ming wasn't happy when he heard it. Which man likes to hear a woman say that he can't do it? Qin Mengyan didn't have any special meaning, but it was easy to be misunderstood when she said it. You haven't tried. How do you know that I can't do it? Why don't you ask Xiyun if I can do it? Yang Ming said lecherously. Disgusting, there's no healthy thought. Qin Mengyan also understood what Yang Ming said this time. All of a sudden the dynamic music in the stadium changed into a melodious and pleasant melody. Xu Ye's clear and pure singing voice also rang out. This song was the endorsement song of Lu Weishan Jewelry. Our anniversary. This familiar song suddenly pulled up the atmosphere of the scene. The fans waved the light sticks excitedly. Applause and screams came one after another. After the song, the silver lights on the stage began to become a little brighter. Friends from Songjiang and friends from all over the country, hello. Xu Ye smiled and greeted the audience present and then continued, today is my first concert in the mainland. Can be said to be a very memorable day. I hope that everyone will always remember these days. This is our anniversary. When Xu Ye's voice fell, the audience in the entire stadium boiled up. Most of the people who could come here were hardcore fans of Xu Ye. The first concert, this was such a memorable day. Although there was no hot dance, there were no seductive movements. But Xu Ye's concert had been carried out in a very high atmosphere. In the hearts of the fans, Xu Ye was their goddess. Childhood is the best time in life. I don't know if everyone still remembers the love of childhood. Xu Ye said with a nostalgic voice. The next song is called Childhood Love. It is a song that I wrote myself. It is also a song that I like very much. I want to invite an audience present to share the love of childhood with me. Are you willing? Yes. Almost all the fans agreed loudly in unison. After that, there were many voices volunteering. I am willing, I am willing. I understand everyone's enthusiasm, but because the time of the concert is limited, I can only find a fan friend from the front row. Xu Ye blinked and said apologetically, oh. Although the people behind were a little disappointed, what Xu Ye said was also true. It was really difficult to run from the back of this crowded stadium to the stage. However, even so, sitting in the VIP seats, the eyes of the young masters in the front row also showed a look of desire. Xu Ye walked towards the VIP seats with light steps. Fortunately, the people in the VIP seats still had some manners and didn't get up to catch Xu Ye. However, it should also be because there were a lot of security guards around Xu Ye. Xu Ye looked back and forth at the people in the VIP seats with some hesitation. She held the microphone in both hands and said, everyone is so enthusiastic. It is a little difficult for me to choose. This kind of interactive activity existed in many celebrity concerts, but some were impromptu and some were prearranged. This time, Xu Ye was probably improvised because Yang Ming hadn't seen such a line in the concert process. However, the concert process wasn't the kind that had to be deliberately followed. Celebrities could freely express themselves, so Yang Ming didn't take it too seriously. However, when Xu Ye walked to him, Yang Ming felt that something was wrong. Is this little girl trying to invite me? Before Yang Ming could figure it out, Xu Ye reached out and said to Yang Ming, this gentleman. Ah? Yang Ming looked at Xu Ye in amazement. My feeling is really right. This little girl really came to invite me. However, although Yang Ming had listened to Xu Ye's songs, he couldn't sing it himself. Not to mention that he wasn't familiar with the tune, he couldn't even remember the lyrics. If he went up, wouldn't it be shameful? Yang Ming didn't care, but many people stared at Yang Ming with envious eyes that could kill. They secretly thought that Yang Ming's luck was good, but there were also some people who thought that they knew the inside story. For example, the young master of Songjiang just now. He thought that the reason why Shuya invited Shuya was because Yang Ming's father was the boss of the organizer company. Ugh, hey, forget it. I think such a good opportunity should be given to others. Yang Ming hesitated and said awkwardly. Shuya's microphone was already facing Yang Ming, so when Yang Ming said this, the people in the audience were suddenly dumbfounded. They looked at Yang Ming with an incredible expression. Such a good opportunity, others couldn't even ask for it. This person actually refused? Is there a problem? When Shuya heard Yang Ming's words, she was stunned, and then her face suddenly turned pale. In front of so many people, Yang Ming actually refused her. This hurt Shuya's self-esteem. If it were someone else, Shuya would feel better, but this person was Yang Ming, the person she loved the most. She had been thinking about it these days. She finally found such an opportunity to sing with Yang Ming. Last night she was so excited that she almost couldn't sleep, but she was ruthlessly rejected by Yang Ming. How could Shuya not feel uncomfortable? Chapter 765. However, Shuya was still Shuya in the end. Her on-the-spot quality was very good. Although her heart was uncomfortable, her face was only slightly lost and it returned to normal. It seems that this gentleman has some stage fright, but it doesn't matter. I don't know how the lady next to him is. Shuya turned to Qin Mengyan with a smile. Qin Mengyan was still annoyed with Yang Ming's lack of understanding. He had already rejected the big star once when they took a photo together, and now it was the same again. She wanted to blame Yang Ming, but she didn't expect Shuya to invite her instead. Qin Mengyan's depressed mood was swept away. She stood up and said, okay. Qin Mengyan was a class cadre since elementary school, and she was a member of the student union, so in this kind of situation with so many people, she didn't have stage fright. She was very relaxed and walked on the stage with Shuya. Yang Ming breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Shuya didn't continue to invite him. Otherwise, if she said a few words to squeeze him, it was impossible for him not to want to go on stage. Originally, many people were more or less jealous of Yang Ming's appearance on stage except for envy. But now it was Qin Mengyan who was also a beauty, so there was less jealousy. Qin Mengyan didn't have professional stage makeup, but she wasn't inferior to Shuya. Compared with Shuya's elegant and refined image, Qin Mengyan was more youthful and lively. Although Qin Mengyan didn't have special vocal training like Shuya, her voice was also good. Even if the voice wasn't as clear as Shuya's, it was also euphemistic. Are you nervous? In the middle of the interlude, Shuya turned off the wireless headset and whispered to Qin Mengyan. It's okay, but there are so many people. It's really a bit oppressive. Qin Mengyan smiled bitterly. You sang well. You also have the potential to be a star. Do you want me to introduce you to some celebrities in the entertainment circle? Shuya asked with a smile. Can I? Qin Mengyan listened to Shuya's words. He was surprised. Which girl didn't dream of being a celebrity? Qin Mengyan was no exception, but after hesitating she shook her head and said, forget it. Yang Ming won't like me to be a celebrity. Do you care so much about his opinion? Shuya was a little curious. Yang Ming's charm was actually so great. The girl in front of her seemed to have completely fallen into the trap of love. But then again, wasn't it the same for him? Originally he wanted to abduct Yang Ming's little girlfriend to his side, but he failed. Yes, Qin Mengyan nodded and said, when you fall in love with someone, you will care about him. Shuya nodded and thought, it's because of you that I don't have any way. Shuya wasn't the kind of person who liked to destroy other people's feelings, but some things were involuntary. Nothing, I just thought of some sad things. Yang Ming smiled and shook his head. You and Jean watch the concert. I'm going to the bathroom. Qin Mengyan didn't think much and nodded. Yang Ming stood up and left the VIP seat. He walked to the emergency passage on the side. Out of the stadium and into the corridor, Yang Ming lit a cigarette and took 2 deep breaths. Now Yang Ming rarely smoked. He would only smoke when he was in a bad mood. Yang Ming was now thinking about the problem of Shaoqing and Sun Jie. How should I tell Qin Mengyan about these 2 people? Although Shaoqing said that she would be Yang Ming's godsister for a lifetime, Yang Ming knew that it was just her comforting words. She also longed for him to be recognized one day and be able to walk on the street with him openly. What's wrong? You don't want to watch the concert but come here to smoke? A hand was placed on Yang Ming's shoulder. Yang Ming turned around and found that it was Tian Donghua. He was alone. Wang Shui didn't come out with him. Hee, aren't you out too? Yang Ming put out the cigarette and said with a smile. I saw that you came out, so I followed. I have something to say to you. Tian Donghua also lit a cigarette for himself. What's wrong with you? Why do you look more depressed than me? Yang Ming looked at Tian Dongguang's gloomy expression and asked curiously. Chapter 766. Yang Ming, I see that you have 2 girlfriends. You must know a lot about women, right? Tian Donghua hesitated and said. No. Yang Ming couldn't help but smile bitterly after listening. Do I know? You should know more than me, right? I fought for a woman, but the woman didn't appreciate it. Is there such an idiot like me? Tian Donghua said self-deprecatingly. Yang Ming, to be honest, I have encountered a problem now. What's the problem? Yang Ming was a little puzzled. Why would Tian Donghua suddenly come to find him and say these things? But thinking about it, it seemed that Tian Donghua didn't have many close friends in university. He could only talk to his roommates Zhang Bing and himself. Emotional problems. Otherwise, what do you think it is? Tian Donghua shook his head and said. Emotional problems? What emotional problems? Is there a problem in your relationship with Wang Shui? Or did you fall in love with someone else? Yang Ming asked with some surprise. It's not me. It's Wang Shui. Tian Donghua said with some depression. I found that she has been dating other men behind my back recently. What? Her? Behind your back? Yang Ming was stunned. Tian Donghua's family, although not as good as Sun Jie's family, was also prominent. It was also a famous family in the province. In this case, the daughter-in-law of the Tian family still dared to go out and fool around. Wasn't that looking for death? Especially since the Tian family relied on the underworld to make a living, they wouldn't allow such a thing to happen. I don't believe it, but I saw it with my own eyes. I have to believe it. Tian Donghua sighed. What the hell is going on? Don't worry. Tell me slowly. I will help you analyze. Looking at Tian Donghua's depressed look, Yang Ming said with some sympathy. It's like this. A while ago, Wang Shui received a call and then ran to the bathroom to answer it. I didn't take it seriously at that time. When she came back, I casually asked who it was. I didn't expect her to stutter and didn't say it clearly. Tian Donghua paused and continued. Everyone has some privacy. I didn't delve into it. I just secretly remembered the phone number. After that, this number often appeared in Wang Shui's call log. I began to be on guard. He ordered a set of wireless monitoring equipment online and eavesdropped on Wang Shui's phone conversation. The man asked her to meet him at night. I followed Wang Shui and found that she secretly went to meet with that man. Ah, really? Yang Ming found it a little unbelievable. Then what did they do after that? They didn't do anything. They just met and talked to each other. Wang Shui gave that person something and then the 2 of them broke up. Tian Donghua said. Gave that person something? Yang Ming frowned. How many times has this happened? 2 or 3 times. Tian Donghua said with a solemn expression. Although I don't dare to believe it, the facts are right in front of me. I have no choice but to believe it. Are you sure they're dating? Yang Ming's current analytical ability was no longer what it used to be, and his view of things had also become more meticulous. If they're not dating, then what are they doing? So late. Why are they still going out to meet? Tian Donghua's thought was relatively simple. Could it be that Wang Shui was blackmailed? Or was there something that fell into the hands of others so they blackmailed her? Yang Ming thought about it and said the most likely situation to Tian Donghua. You don't say. Your analysis is a bit reasonable. Maybe this is the case. Makes me feel enlightened. Tian Donghua slammed the wall and then said with some excitement. So, I misunderstood Wang Shui? Misunderstanding or not, I don't know. I just said a hypothesis, a possibility. Yang Ming said, however, I think this possibility should be slightly higher. It must be like this. As long as Tian Donghua understood that Wang Shui didn't betray him, it was enough. As for the others, he didn't care. Damn, someone dares to blackmail my wife. I will kill him. Hee, let's figure out the situation first. Yang Ming said, if you need anything, call me at any time. I understand. Tian Donghua's whole person was relaxed a lot. It could be seen that his feelings for Wang Shui were deep. Yang Ming and Tian Dongguang returned to the stadium together. Yang Ming's mood, which was a little hazy, became a little relaxed after being disturbed by Tian Donghua. "You're back?" Shuya just sang a new song. "It's not in all the albums," Qin Mengyan said with some regret. "Really?" Yang Ming smiled. "If you like it, let's ask her for the master tape of the concert recording. We can watch it when we go back," Yang Ming said. The 2-hour concert ended quickly. Shuya also said to all the fans with some reluctance, "Time flies so fast. I didn't expect 2 hours to pass so quickly. It can't be helped. Let's meet again next time. The last song is for you, all the friends who love and support me." This was an old song sung by Andy Lau in 1997. "A Letter to You." Although the original singer was a male voice, under Xu Ye's interpretation, it had a different style. The ordinary voice didn't expect to get a reaction. The echo of the applause actually sounded non-stop. "Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for all your sincerity. I will cherish this feeling forever. A little star also needs your sympathy. My heart is no longer lonely. Because of your true feelings, my life is complete. Tell me how beautiful the world is. I sing everything to you on the stage. Every word in my heart contains my tears, contains my joy. You are the spirits of my life. Put everything aside and be close to you no matter how hard it is. I am willing to go together. If you want to stop, we will stop together. If you want to go in together, leave your footprints on the journey of life." Footprints in life. The singing was very beautiful, and it was also appropriate to describe Xu Ye's rise to fame. Many fans were moved to cry. They waved the light sticks and wanted time to stop at this moment. Qin Mengyan was also very emotional. Like most fans, she stood up and shouted Xu Ye's name. However, what should end will always end. We don't have Doraemon's treasure bag and we don't have a time stopper. Finally, Xu Ye disappeared from people's sight along with the slowly descending stage. Undoubtedly, this concert was quite successful and it was also quite moving. For a long time, the people in the stadium stood up and slowly left. There were too many people, but fortunately Yang Ming and the other two could leave through the staff's dedicated passage. They didn't have to follow the crowd. I have read a novel. It said that after a concert, the male protagonist of the novel met a big star who sprained her ankle at the entrance of the stadium, and then carried her to the hospital. When leaving, Yang Ming smiled and said to Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun, "Then the two people had a marriage." "Oh, I think I have also read that book." Qin Mengyan said thoughtfully, "I think it is the novel that you rented when you were in high school, right? After I confiscated it, I flipped through it twice. It was written well, but there were too many women." Sweat. Yang Ming was a little embarrassed. After a few words, the topic of too many women came up. So he quickly changed the topic. "I don't know if Xu Ye sprained her ankle at the entrance of the stadium and met her Mr. Right. Hee, but it is quite romantic when you think about it." After Qin Mengyan finished, she suddenly thought of something. She turned around and said to Lin Jiyun, "Sister Lin, do you think Yang Ming wants to be the Mr. Right?" "I don't know." Lin Jiyun was like this. She rarely cared about Yang Ming's matters. The three people were talking and laughing. Suddenly they heard an ayag not far in front of them. They saw Xu Ye holding the wall with one hand and rubbing her ankle with the other hand. "Sister Xu Ye, what happened to you?" After singing on the same stage, the relationship between Qin Mengyan and Xu Ye had become more familiar. When she saw that Xu Ye was in trouble, she quickly ran over. "I'm not used to wearing high heels for this performance. I sprained my ankle as soon as I came out." Xu Ye grimaced in pain. "It hurts." When Qin Mengyan heard it, she quickly held Xu Ye and then shouted to Yang Ming behind, "Yang Ming, what are you doing? Come and help." "Me? Help?" Yang Ming thought, "Isn't this a copy of the plot of The Big Star Falls in Love with Me? It is said that novels come from life. It seems that this is not false at all. Look, I encountered it." "Yeah. You're the only man here. Don't you feel embarrassed if you don't help?" Qin Mengyan wasn't happy. Yang Ming scratched his head and walked forward. He leaned down and was about to check Xu Ye's ankle, but Qin Mengyan pulled his ear. "Yang Ming, what are you doing? Why are you going under Sister Xu Ye's skirt? Are you trying to take advantage of her?" Yang Ming didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "I just want to see how her injury is. You're not a doctor. What do you know?" Qin Mengyan didn't appreciate it. Yang Ming thought, "Although I'm not a doctor, my massage technique is top-notch. But since you don't believe it, then I don't need to reveal anything. Quick, help me hold Shuya. Let's find a place to rest. Qin Mengyan said anxiously. Okay. Yang Ming nodded. Aye. Just as she took a step, Shuya was in so much pain that her face turned pale. Her voice changed a little. It hurts. Qin Mengyan frowned and said with some worry, Sister Shuya's injury seems to be not light. Yang Ming, why don't you carry her? She definitely can't walk like this. She might even worsen her injury. Carry her? Yang Ming looked at Qin Mengyan with some surprise. Yeah, if you don't carry her, who do you think is stronger than you between me and Sister Lin? Qin Mengyan said without hesitation. If you're not afraid that what you just said will become true, I will carry her. Yang Ming whispered to Qin Mengyan. Qin Mengyan heard Yang Ming's words and hesitated. She didn't expect things to turn out like this. She really understood what to speak of the devil. However, Qin Mengyan finally bit and said, You carry Sister Shuya? Yang Ming smiled and leaned down, but his heart was very relaxed. Although Qin Mengyan was very jealous, she had a weakness, which was that she was too soft-hearted. Chapter 767. She didn't hesitate. She directly lay on Yang Ming's back. There was no avoidance between men and women. Yang Ming gently lifted Shuya's buttocks and carried her steadily on his back. Looking at the empty corridor, Yang Ming couldn't help but wonder. When you returned to the lounge, you didn't seem to pass through this corridor, right? This corridor was only a dedicated staff passage from the VIP seats to the backstage. Usually very few people came here. There were only people guarding the doors on both sides. If it weren't for the relationship between Yang Ming and the organizer, they wouldn't have taken this passage directly. But when Shuya came here, it seemed a bit abrupt and strange. I went back to the backstage from the stage and found that there were a lot of reporters. I didn't dare to go over, so I went directly into this passage. I didn't expect to sprain my ankle. Shuya explained. Reporters went into the backstage? Yang Ming was very puzzled. It seems unlikely, right? Bao Sanli had sent a large group of security guards to guard the entrance of each passage. How did the reporters get in? Although this reason was somewhat far-fetched, Yang Ming also felt guilty. Maybe someone accidentally let the reporters in. Only Shuya understood in her heart. It seemed that she didn't suffer in vain. Finally Yang Ming came. It was just that she didn't have a good sense of propriety. She really hurt her ankle seriously. Now it was so painful that she was sweating a little. Shuya had also seen the movie The Big Star Fell in Love with Me. She was very envious of the encounter between the star and the protagonist, so she designed such a play. The feeling of being carried by Yang Ming was really good. She hadn't had this feeling for many years. This couldn't help but remind Shuya of the situation many years ago when they were in junior high school. There was a physical education class where she hurt her foot. Yang Ming carried her to the infirmary. Back to the backstage, Yang Ming was a bit puzzled. Where are the reporters here? Probably, they were driven out. Shuya's face was red. Fortunately, she was on Yang Ming's back, so others couldn't see her expression. Miss Shu, what happened to you? When Suli saw Yang Ming carrying Shuya, she quickly ran over and asked. Sister Shuya sprained her ankle and we happened to meet her. Qin Mengyan quickly explained, Do you think we should call the doctor over? Okay, I'll call the doctor now. Suli said quickly. After putting Shuya on the sofa in the lounge, Yang Ming also sat on the side. Thank you for just now. Shuya thanked. Otherwise, I really don't know what to do. Yang Ming smiled. Intuitively, he felt that something was wrong. Shuya seemed to be lying, but the swollen ankle was right in front of him. While Yang Ming was thinking about this, Qin Mengyan had already sat on Shuya's side and chatted with her. Sister Shuya, you have to hold on. The doctor may be here soon. Qin Mengyan looked at Shuya's painful expression and persuaded her. It doesn't matter. Shuya frowned and pretended to be relaxed with a smile. It's not a big injury. I remember that when I was in junior high school, there was a physical education class where I sprained my ankle. A boy in my class carried me to the school doctor's office. That time was much more serious than this time. Yang Ming listened to Shuya's words, but his whole body trembled. He turned his head in surprise and his eyes were full of disbelief. Yes, the Shuya in front of me is really similar to the Xia in my memory. The same habits, the same ring, the similar past and the similar name. How could this not make Yang Ming doubt? But doubt was doubt. The difference between the appearance of the two people was too big. Yang Ming even thought that Shuya was wearing something like a human skin mask. But unfortunately, Yang Ming didn't see anything on Shuya's face. If Shuya really wore a mask, then it definitely couldn't hide from Yang Ming's eyes. Therefore, it was precisely because of this that Yang Ming would think that these two people were not the same person. There were too many coincidences in this world. Yang Ming himself had encountered countless coincidences. Therefore, it wasn't so strange that Shuya and Suya were similar. Yang Ming sighed. It may be that Shuya's words just reminded him of Suya. Yang Ming couldn't bear to see Shuya in pain. He couldn't help but lean over and say, I have learned to massage. Let me help you see how your foot is. Shuya's heart was naturally willing, but Qin Mengyan still looked at Yang Ming with suspicion. You wouldn't want to take advantage of her, right? Sweat. Yang Ming was a little embarrassed. Am I so dirty? Qin Mengyan was just joking. Seeing that Yang Ming was embarrassed, she didn't say anything. Yang Ming leaned over and slowly took off Shuya's shoes. Although it was winter, Shuya was wearing performance shoes, so it was easy to take them off. Looking at Shuya's swollen ankle, Yang Ming sighed and slowly massaged with the massage method that Fong Tian taught him. Shuya's feet were very beautiful. Although they were red and swollen, it didn't affect the beauty. Instead, it made people feel more tender. It was just that Yang Ming had something in his heart and Qin Mengyan and Lin Jin were next to him. He couldn't help but have some thoughts. Shuya looked at Yang Ming with some curiosity. It really doesn't hurt. It's very effective. Hee hee. Yang Ming stood up and said, it's a secret ancestral prescription. Ancestral? Shuya was very puzzled. Why didn't I know that Yang Ming still had such a skill? If it was really ancestral, then when I sprained my ankle he wouldn't be so anxious. At this time Suli ran in with the doctor. Suli said, Miss Shu, I have invited the doctor. However, looking at Shuya talking and laughing with the people around her, she couldn't help but wonder, Miss Shu, your foot? Oh, my foot is almost healed. It's not a big problem. Yang Ming helped me do a massage and the swelling has gone down. Shuya smiled and said, I don't need to trouble the doctor. Massage? How can a massage be done? This doctor was young and was also a fan of Shuya. He originally wanted to come to today's concert, but he was on duty in the hospital, so he couldn't leave. Just as he was a little depressed, a person who claimed to be Shuya's agent found him and asked him to make a house call. This made him happy. He had some doubts at first, but when he saw Su Li's business card and the place where the concert was held was indeed the stadium. When he saw Shuya in front of him, he couldn't help but be excited. But he didn't expect Shuya to say that he didn't need to see it. He still wanted to take the opportunity to get close to her. In fact, this kid's heart was quite dirty. He was going to take the opportunity to touch Shuya's foot. Therefore, when he heard that someone was massaging, he was unhappy. He immediately put on the appearance of an expert and said, the folk massage is a lie. It can only relieve the pain, but it can't be cured. Chinese medicine can only relieve the pain and Western medicine can cure it. Yang Ming listened to the bullshit theory from this kid's mouth, and he was immediately furious. What did he mean by the folk massage is a lie? What did he mean by Chinese medicine can only relieve the pain? Although Chinese medicine and Western medicine had their own strengths, and it couldn't be said which one was good and which one was bad, this kid obviously belittled Chinese medicine. How could Yang Ming not be angry? Yang Ming waved his hand impatiently and said, Miss Su, we don't need him here. Give him some consultation fee and let him go. The consultation fee is not necessary. Miss Shu's health is the most important. How could this kid give up? He didn't care whether Su Li and Shuya agreed or not. He ran over with an anxious look. He squatted down and grabbed Shuya's ankle. Motherfucker, are you deaf? Yang Ming really couldn't bear it this time. He directly grabbed the back of the kid's collar and lifted him up. He frowned and shouted outside the door, Security? Is there anyone here? When Yang Ming shouted, Bao Sanli immediately rushed in and said, Brother Yang, what's the matter? Throw this bastard out for me. Doesn't this guy understand human language? Yang Ming released his hand and threw the kid to the ground. Bao Sanli stepped forward and dragged the kid out by his hair. How could he have a good time after provoking Yang Ming? Looking at Yang Ming's angry look, Shuya smiled. Is he doing this for me? Shuya couldn't help but think faintly. Today's incident made Yang Ming determined that no matter how difficult it was, he had to investigate Xu Ye's family background. Although there were some coincidences in this world, it was necessary to confirm that it was a real coincidence. Once the promotional material of Lu Weishan jewelry was broadcasted, it directly reversed the current situation. Most people still recognized the guidance of TV and media. Therefore, the high-end brand value of Lu Weishan jewelry was known overnight. Looking at the employees in the company dealing with these problems in an orderly manner, even Zhao Cixi was able to do it with ease. Lin Jiyun felt a little inferior. Yes, from the company's opening until now, although I was the deputy general manager, I didn't help with the company's operation. Of course, Lin Jiyun didn't tell Yang Ming about these thoughts. She was also afraid that Yang Ming would be worried about her after he knew. After Yun Guangdou saw the promotional material on TV, he was so angry that he smashed another TV. He deliberately came up with such a wonderful idea, but he didn't expect it to be so easily resolved by the other party. Not only did it not have the opposite effect, but it also gave the other party a free opportunity to hype. This made Yun Guangdou almost have a heart attack. What do we do now? Yun Guangdou looked at Li Xiaodao and Lu Shaoxing with a pale face. President Yun, I didn't expect the designer of Lu Weishan jewelry to be an international master. Li Xiaodao smiled carefully. Now it's not a problem of whether you think of it or not, but how to solve the problem. Yun Guangdou said angrily, Songjiang is the foundation of the company, but now it is being squeezed by Lu Weishan jewelry. We can't sell anything. We are going bankrupt. President Yun. Lu Shaoxing hesitated and then said to Li Xiaodao, you go out first. I have something to discuss with President Yun. Chapter 768. Both Li Xiaodao and Lu Shaoxing were Yun Guangdou's confidants, but what Li Xiaodao knew was only related to the company. Only Lu Shaoxing knew Yun Guangdou's true identity. Li Xiaodao knew that it was inconvenient for Lu Shaoxing to say something behind his back, so he nodded and walked out of the room. This was nothing. He was just President Yun's military advisor, responsible for making plans, but Lu Shaoxing was President Yun's real confidant. After Li Xiaodao left, Lu Shaoxing lowered his voice and said, President Yun, this fucking Yang Ming is too much. Should we use some ruthless methods? Ruthless moves? What ruthless moves? Wasn't the previous move ruthless? Wasn't it resolved by him? I'm so pissed off. Yun Guangdou said angrily. President Yun, have you forgotten our identity? Lu Shaoxing suddenly reminded him with a sinister smile. Identity? You mean to use that, to deal with him? Yun Guangdou was stunned and then whispered. Yeah, we can use voodoo to deal with him. Let him die. Lu Shaoxing said fiercely. He hated Yang Ming to the bone. The previous fat beating was unforgettable for Lu Shaoxing. But we use voodoo to deal with ordinary people. If the elder knows, will he let us go? Yun Guangdou said hesitantly and worriedly. Now we have made Elder Yu unhappy. We are considered to have defected. President Yun, do you still expect him to let us go? Lu Shaoxing shook his head. He just doesn't have the mind to care about us now. That's right. If the old man Lon Hai doesn't appear, Elder Yu won't be at ease for a day. Yun Guangdou nodded. Then let's do it. Let's give him a ruthless voodoo and kill him. Shaoxing, this matter can't be known to others. I can only let you go. It's okay for me to go, but the key problem is that I only know a little about voodoo. It's not very powerful, right? Lu Shaoxing was only a peripheral member of the barbarian Wu clan, unlike Yun Guangdou, who was a direct disciple. That's easy. I will prepare the voodoo. You just have to do it. Yun Guangdou said. Oh my god. Lu Shaoxing said proudly. This was a good opportunity for him to take revenge on Yang Ming, an opportunity that he had been plotting for a long time. Lu Shaoxing was selfish. Last time he was beaten up so badly by Yang Ming. If he did not take revenge on Nanping, he would be furious. Yang Ming naturally didn't know that there were people thousands of miles away waiting for an opportunity to retaliate against him. And the matter here had already made Yang Ming somewhat anxious. Valentine's Day was a very romantic holiday, but for Yang Ming, it was like a day of suffering. The reason was very simple. There was only one Valentine's Day, but he had more than one lover. Who to go out with and who not to go out with made Yang Ming extremely vexed. Xu Ye's concert was still going on. Yang Ming didn't tell her that he was her online friend. There's no true love in this world, but he told Qin Mengyan Shuya's QQ number. As for whether Qin Mengyan would tell Shuya his identity, that was her business. However, he didn't know whether Qin Mengyan was selfish or not. When she added Shuya's QQ number, she didn't mention who she was. Instead, she added Shuya as a friend, as the girlfriend of There's No True Love in This World. Shuya was bored lying on the hotel bed. 2 consecutive nights of concerts made her a little tired. Although she was still young, she couldn't overdraft her body. Suddenly, there was a cough sound from the computer. There was a new system message on QQ. Shuya clicked on it and it was a friend request. There's no true love in this world? Shuya looked at the personal information of this online friend suspiciously. She thought it was a side account of There's No True Love in This World, but she didn't expect the gender to be a woman. Intuitively judged that this person had something to do with There's No True Love in This World, so Shuya clicked on the confirmation button and added her as a friend. Hello, are you there? The other party sent a message. Hello, I'm here. Shuya replied, excuse me, you are? I'm the girlfriend of There's No True Love in This World. Hee hee, I heard that you are a big star, so I added you on QQ, Qin Mengyan said. I guessed it. Oh. Shuya sent a smiley face. Shuya and There's No True Love in This World were relatively close friends, but there wasn't the slightest relationship between men and women. Therefore, she was very polite to Qin Mengyan without any hostility. Qin Mengyan knew Shuya's true identity, so she didn't have any hostility to Shuya. The 2 people casually chatted about their daily lives and they got along well. As they talked about emotional issues. It was no wonder that the 2 girls in adolescence talked about the most topic was probably feelings. Shuya didn't know why, but she had an innate sense of intimacy with There's No True Love in This World. Perhaps it was because of There's No True Love in This World. Shuya easily revealed her own thoughts. When Qin Mengyan asked her if she had a boy who she liked, Shuya actually admitted it. Firstly, Shuya didn't know that the other party was Qin Mengyan. She just regarded her as a netizen that she had never met. Secondly, Shuya also wanted to find someone to talk to. Although There's No True Love in This World had a good relationship with her, and they got along well, after all, he was a boy. It wasn't good to tell him some of the girl's thoughts. Then, are you together? Qin Mengyan asked as if it was a piece of gossip. No, he has a girlfriend. Shuya replied helplessly. No way, you are so excellent. How can that person choose someone else? Is he blind? Qin Mengyan naturally knew Shuya's true identity and had seen Shuya's amazing charm, so Qin Mengyan naturally thought that the man Shuya liked was really blind. However, Qin Mengyan was also very relieved. Since Shuya had someone she liked, then there would be nothing special between her and Yang Ming. However, Qin Mengyan felt that in this world only Yang Ming was worthy of such a beautiful and refined beauty like Shuya. This was a contradictory mentality. He isn't blind. His current girlfriend is also very beautiful. Shuya sighed and continued to type faintly. It's just that the story between me and him is very complicated. Can you tell me? Inquiring about the privacy of a celebrity was a characteristic of every fan. Well, anyway, there is nothing to do now. Shuya looked at the time. It was still early to sleep, so she would talk to her. When I was in junior high school, I liked a boy. He was my desk mate. Can't be said to be love. Anyway, it was a kind of hazy feeling. However, I know that he must have this feeling for me, said Shuya. Sounds so romantic. I envy you. Qin Mengyan said with some fascination. There was some regret in her heart. When I was in high school with Yang Ming, why didn't I secretly play some small love games? At that time, this kind of underground love was quite interesting. It was just that Qin Mengyan wanted to study hard, so her thoughts and concepts were not the same as now. Yeah, that relationship was really beautiful, Shuya said from the bottom of her heart. But later, another girl who liked him told the teacher about our relationship in order to be with him. In the end, the teacher invited both his and my parents, and my relationship with him ended just like that. Ended? Why? You can still be together with him secretly. Qin Mengyan was puzzled. My father is very snobbish. He felt that his family's conditions weren't good enough for me, so he transferred me to another school. At that time I was too young and I couldn't go against my father's wishes. So we separated like this, said Shuya. What? You transferred? Qin Mengyan was shocked. Before that, she felt that Shuya's past was somewhat familiar. When she heard that Shuya transferred, Qin Mengyan was shocked. She stood up and looked at the chat record on the computer screen in disbelief. Qin Mengyan only felt that her head was boom and became blank. Could it be that between Shuya and Yang Ming? Yeah, I transferred. Shuya couldn't see Qin Mengyan's expression. She was still wondering about Qin Mengyan's tone just now. Qin Mengyan forced herself to calm down and took a few deep breaths. Then she said, "Then did he get together with the girl who complained?" "No. But after that he fell and became a little punk in the society. Every day he fought and skipped classes. Of course this was what I found out later." Shuya said, "Then is he still a little punk now?" Qin Mengyan felt that her fingers seemed to be disobedient. She was trembling as she typed a few words. No, after that he met his current girlfriend. He changed a lot for his current girlfriend and he was admitted to university, said Shuya. Then does he know that you still like him? Qin Mengyan was anxious. I'm very conflicted. When I saw him again, although I wanted to recognize him, he loved his current girlfriend. I was afraid that if I opened my mouth I would be rejected by him. Then I would die of discomfort. This is my last hope. I want to leave myself some space for fantasy. Shuya was moved. She couldn't help but tell the other party about her thoughts. Qin Mengyan was completely dumbfounded. She looked at the computer and didn't know how to answer. Recalling when she saw Shuya's tone of speaking to Yang Ming, and that kind of resentful eyes, Qin Mengyan was more convinced that the person Shuya was talking about was Yang Ming. Before, Qin Mengyan didn't think about this. He naturally thought that Shuya was a big star. It was impossible for her to have anything with Yang Ming. Therefore, even the sensitive Qin Mengyan didn't think much about it. But now it was different. Qin Mengyan gritted her teeth and typed 5 words on the keyboard. Are you Suyao? Chapter 769. Qin Mengyan hesitated and was nervous. After a long time she pressed backspace a few times and erased the words that she had just entered. Qin Mengyan didn't know if this sentence should be asked. He was also very conflicted. As Yang Ming's girlfriend, she was very sensitive to this kind of thing. If the other party was really Suya and Qin Mengyan exposed this matter, it would be really difficult to end it. In her heart she didn't want Suya to return to Yang Ming's side. Qin Mengyan was very clear about Suya's position in Yang Ming's heart. Qin Mengyan didn't know who was more important between her and herself, but at least she knew that Suya was definitely not inferior to her. This made her have some confidence. She was afraid. She was afraid that once Suya returned to Yang Ming's side, Yang Ming would no longer spoil her. Suya would replace her. Qin Mengyan struggled. She stared at the computer screen and breathed quickly. She didn't know what to say. However, Qin Mengyan was also very conflicted. If she knew these things but she hid it from Yang Ming, or pretended not to know for her own personal benefit, then what would Yang Ming think of her when he knew the truth one day? As a matter of fact, paper can't always cover the fire. With Suya's infatuation, sooner or later she would confess to Yang Ming. At that time, wouldn't she become a villain? Thinking of this, Qin Mengyan gritted her teeth and re-entered the sentence just now in the chat box. She closed her eyes and clicked on the shortcut key to send. Shuya, who was on the other side of the computer, saw the message sent by Qin Mengyan, and suddenly her face changed. She looked at the message in front of her with some horror and disbelief. My identity has never been told to anyone. How did this netizen opposite me know my true identity? Shuya was very confused and surprised. Even Yang Ming didn't know his identity, so how could this netizen know? However, Shuya immediately breathed a sigh of relief. In many places where Mandarin was not standard, the shuk in heard shuyuk was a retroflex sound, but it was often pronounced as a flat tongue sound. In other words, shuk was pronounced as su. When using the pinyin input method, it was easy to type Shuya as Suya. As for that online friend of his, there's no true love in this world. Didn't he say that he wanted to attend his concert? Then what I said at the concert must have made him understand that the netizen called, I'm a superstar, was Shuya. Therefore it wasn't strange for him to tell his girlfriend about it. Hence Shuya replied, Yes, I am Shuya. When Qin Mengyan saw that the other party didn't admit it, she frowned. However, since it had already been revealed, there was no turning back. She had to continue to ask, not Shuya but Suya. Can you understand what I mean? Qin Mengyan was also very nervous. On the one hand, she wanted Shuya to continue to deny this fact so that she didn't have to worry anymore. On the other hand, she was very sure that the other party was Suya, because a woman's sixth sense was often very accurate. Who are you? Shuya looked at the message sent by Qin Mengyan. The degree of shock could be imagined. This was her secret, a secret that few people knew. But how did the other party know? How is this possible? This made Shuya doubt the identity of the other party. You admit it, right? Qin Mengyan didn't answer but continued to ask. What is your purpose? Shuya was actually not afraid of her identity being exposed, but her father's identity would inevitably be exposed. Although he was far away in Hong Kong, it was difficult to guarantee that the enemies of the past would find him. Therefore Shuya must be cautious. Half an hour later, let's meet at the coffee shop at the entrance of Heavenly World. You will know by then. Qin Mengyan calmed down her very excited emotions and said, Okay. Shuya finally typed out a word. This involved her biggest secret, and this matter was now known by others. How could Shuya not be nervous? When Shuya wore big sunglasses and entered the coffee shop, she found that Qin Mengyan was actually sitting at a table not far away, drinking coffee alone. Shuya was a bit puzzled why Qin Mengyan didn't come with Yang Ming, but since she saw her, she still politely went over to say hello. Sister Mengyan, what a coincidence. You're here too? Shuya concealed the panic in her heart and greeted Qin Mengyan. Sit down, Sister Su. I have been waiting for you for a long time. Qin Mengyan put down the coffee cup and smiled at Shuya. What? Shuya was stunned, and then she looked at Qin Mengyan with some horror. The three words, Sister Su, were like a sharp sword, stabbing Suya's eardrums. My online name is There is no true love in this world. We just chatted. Sister Su, don't you remember? Qin Mengyan was actually pretending to be calm. She must maintain her calm image. She couldn't let Shuya, who was Suya, look down on her. If she really came together with Yang Ming, if she lost her momentum, wouldn't she be bullied in the future? It's you. Shuya looked at Qin Mengyan with some disbelief. You are There is no true love in this world? Qin Mengyan nodded. It's me. Then there is no true love in this world. Shuya couldn't imagine it. It's Yang Ming. Qin Mengyan smiled and said, Now, do you know why I guessed that you are Suya? Shuya's expression became a little pale for a while, but in the end she sighed and sat opposite Qin Mengyan. Her momentum was a little weak. What do you want? Shuya naturally thought that Qin Mengyan came to find her. After all, Qin Mengyan was now Yang Ming's real girlfriend and she was just a memory. He still likes you. After a long time, Qin Mengyan finally said something that was neither a question nor an answer. Qin Mengyan's heart at the moment was also very bitter. She had indulged Yang Ming again and again, letting the women around him continue to increase. She had no other choice but to tolerate and acquiesce. Although she didn't want Suya and Yang Ming to recognize each other, Qin Mengyan was also very clear about Yang Ming's character. If she concealed such a big thing, then Yang Ming would blame her when he found out. Moreover, Qin Mengyan couldn't stop Suya and Yang Ming from meeting again. In this case, it was better to let nature take its course. Even if Yang Ming had Lan Ling, Lin Jiyun, and even Zhou Jiejia, Qin Mengyan never thought that they would shake her position in Yang Ming's heart. This time, the appearance of Suya made her feel a sense of crisis for the first time. Qin Mengyan wasn't stupid. She knew that blindly resisting would only add trouble to herself. After all, Suya and Yang Ming knew each other much earlier than her. Therefore, Qin Mengyan decided that since they were opponents, she didn't have the confidence to defeat Suya, so it was better to be friends. This way she could maximize her position in Yang Ming's heart. Qin Mengyan didn't say who this heat was specifically referring to, but she and Shuya both knew who this person was, so there was no need to say it. Why are you telling me this? Shuya had some doubts. Aren't you afraid that my appearance will bring you trouble? To tell the truth? Qin Mengyan smiled with some self-deprecation. To tell the truth, I'm very afraid. Then why did you come to me? Shuya was somewhat puzzled. Because he can't let go of you in his heart. Qin Mengyan said with some helplessness, Sister Su, am I very realistic? Silly sister. Shuya was suddenly moved. She couldn't help but reach out and touch Qin Mengyan's delicate face. You're Yang Ming's girlfriend. Even if I really come together with him with my identity, how much time do you think I will have to accompany him? Shuya said this with the intention of probing. The meaning vaguely revealed in her words was that she was willing to share Yang Ming's love with Qin Mengyan, but she wouldn't reject Qin Mengyan. I didn't mean that. Qin Mengyan listened to Xu Ye's words and was somewhat relieved. What Xu Ye said was true. As a big star, how could she have so much private time? Thank you. Xu Ye's expression suddenly turned serious as she sincerely said. This had always been Xu Ye's biggest worry, which was Qin Mengyan's attitude problem. But today it seemed that Qin Mengyan didn't have much hostility to her. Qin Mengyan smiled shyly. She didn't know whether what she did today was right or wrong. However, she had to admit that Qin Mengyan had grown up. She had become much more mature than a year ago. Why are you so sure that I am Suya? This was what Xu Ye found very strange before. Why didn't Yang Ming know about it after being in contact with me for so long? But Qin Mengyan guessed it immediately. It's just a feeling. The story you told me Yang Ming also told me. How can there be so many coincidences in the world? Qin Mengyan smiled and said, I am also a woman. When you looked at Yang Ming, I saw the things that you inadvertently revealed in your eyes. Also, the songs that you sang, were they all about him? Xu Ye nodded. But I don't look the same as that Suya. Are you really so sure? What's so strange about the appearance being able to change? Maybe you are wearing a human skin mask, said Qin Mengyan. Speaking of Yang Ming, the reason why he wasn't as sure as Qin Mengyan was because of his special ability. This was the case of success and failure because of the same person. The special ability brought great help to Yang Ming. At the same time, it was because of the special ability that Yang Ming believed that Xu Ye and Xia were two people. Xu Ye smiled unnaturally. She didn't confirm nor deny it. She just said, there are some twists and turns in this. It can't be finished in a few words. Qin Mengyan didn't ask. She wasn't very concerned about this kind of thing. Knowing that the person in front of her was Suya was enough. Chapter 770. What are you going to do? Qin Mengyan felt that some things had to be faced in the end. Only by daring to face it could she get the most favorable conditions for herself. I'll take one step at a time. Xu Ye sighed and said, but you can rest assured that I won't do anything to let you down. Qin Mengyan nodded silently. After several contacts, Qin Mengyan felt that Xu Ye wasn't an overbearing person. So when Xu Ye said this, Qin Mengyan didn't think that Xu Ye would lie to her. Do you need me to help you talk to him? Qin Mengyan was sometimes impulsive and would do things that would harm her own interests, but she was willing to do so. Thank you, but I want to talk to him personally. Xu Ye hesitated and said, then I won't interfere. Qin Mengyan nodded and suddenly remembered something, so she said, Zhou Jiajia, do you still remember? Zhou Jiajia? Xu Ye was stunned, then she said with some suspicion, of course I remember. What about her? If she is now Yang Ming's girlfriend, will you be angry? Qin Mengyan suddenly felt that the grievances between Zhou Jiajia and Yang Ming and Xu Ye should be resolved by Xu Ye, but she made the decision without permission. She didn't know if it would make Xu Ye feel uncomfortable. With Yang Ming? Xu Ye was a little surprised. She didn't expect that Zhou Jiajia would become Yang Ming's girlfriend. Moreover, in these few meetings she already knew Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun, but she didn't see Yang Ming bring Zhou Jiajia out. It's her. Qin Mengyan said affirmatively. But why have I never seen Yang Ming bring her out? Xu Ye asked, baffled. Because she can't come out. As Qin Mengyan said this, she sighed sadly. Can't come out? What do you mean? Xu Ye didn't understand. She's injured. Qin Mengyan said, let's go. I'll take you to see her. I'll tell you the details on the way. Although Xu Ye didn't hate Zhou Jiajia, she definitely didn't have a good impression of her. Although Zhou Jiajia's complaint was because she also liked Yang Ming, this approach hurt Xu Ye a lot. Therefore, at this moment when Qin Mengyan proposed to meet Zhou Jiajia, Xu Ye couldn't help but hesitate. After all, the meeting between the two might bring a lot of awkwardness. Seeing that Xu Ye was a little hesitant, Qin Mengyan pondered for a moment and roughly understood. She's injured and hasn't woken up yet. There's no harm in taking a look. Xu Ye was shocked. He's injured and hasn't woken up yet? She was injured because of Yang Ming. She took the bullet for Yang Ming. Qin Mengyan originally wanted to talk about it while walking, but seeing that there seemed to be some estrangement between Xu Ye and Zhou Jiajia, she simply said it first. She took the bullet for Yang Ming. Shuya never thought that Zhou Jiejia would give up her life for Yang Ming. Although she could do it, Shuya felt that at least she and Yang Ming had a pure relationship, but Zhou Jiejia didn't have anything. Yeah, on the way to the hospital, Yang Ming promised her to be her boyfriend and take care of her for a lifetime. Qin Mingyan's voice was a little bitter when she said this. She wasn't jealous of Zhou Jiejia, but she was moved. When Shuya heard this, her expression became dignified. In the years that she was away, many things happened around Yang Ming. These were not what she knew. Can you tell me in detail? What the hell is going on? Shuya was eager to understand what happened to Yang Ming over the years. Well, let's talk about it while walking. Qin Mingyan found the waiter, paid the bill, and walked out of the coffee shop with Shuya. Do you have a car? With your current identity, I'm afraid it's not appropriate for you to take a taxi, right? Qin Mingyan was afraid that others would recognize Shuya. Yes, wait a minute. I will call the driver. Shuya came here. Although it was inconvenient to bring a car, she could bring a driver. In the hotel here, she could just rent a car for emergency use. Shuya made a phone call. Soon after, a middle-aged man in his 40s came out from heavenly earth and came to Shuya and Qin Mingyan. Miss Shu, are you going out? Asked the middle-aged man. Yes, Uncle Tao. Can you give us a ride? Said Shuya. Miss Shu, do you need to call a bodyguard? Asked the middle-aged man called Uncle Tao. That's not necessary. I have some personal matters to attend to, said Shuya. Okay. Although Uncle Tao was old, he wasn't old-fashioned. He knew that everyone had some personal matters, so he didn't say anything more. Anyway, they were driving the hotel's car. Who would know that the big star Shuya was sitting inside? Shuya and her group rented a Hummer in the hotel. In fact, it was rented, but there was no charge. Because Heavenly Earth and Ming Yang Entertainment were one company, they were all Yang Ming's businesses. The cockpit of the Hummer was separated from the box at the back, so Shuya and Qin Mingyan were talking at the back, but Uncle Tao couldn't hear them. Therefore, Qin Mingyan told Shuya about the things between Zhou Jiejia and Yang Ming. Naturally, it included Zhou Jiejia's regret for Shuya and Yang Ming, and it was also full of this young girl's infatuation. Listening to such a sad and moving love story, Shuya, who didn't have much affection for Zhou Jiejia, couldn't help but be moved at the moment. Yes, although from the perspective of my own interests, Zhou Jiejia hurt me and Yang Ming, Zhou Jiejia was also pursuing her own love. This was understandable. Moreover, in that era where love and life were hazy, how many people could do something that wasn't childish? Shuya nodded. She no longer had any prejudice against Zhou Jiejia in her heart. After all, if she changed her perspective, if she were Zhou Jiejia, she might really do the same. Then, when did the doctor say that she would wake up? Shuya asked with some sadness. I don't know. The doctor didn't say it well. Qin Mingyan shook her head. In fact, she is really pitiful. You don't have to say it. I understand. Shuya waved her hand. Qin Mingyan didn't say anything more. Since Shuya didn't object, it meant that she also acquiesced in this matter. She didn't know why, but Qin Mingyan felt that she seemed to have changed a little. Originally, this kind of thing should be decided by her at home. She was Yang Ming's legitimate girlfriend, but because of the appearance of Shuya, she began to care about Shuya's opinion. According to Qin Mingyan's intention, the car was parked at the inpatient area of the First People's Hospital. Although the new house had been cleaned up, Qin Mingyan was afraid that the decoration materials inside would still have an impact on Zhou Jiejia's health, so she planned to let it be ventilated for a few days. She took Shuya to Zhou Jiejia's ward with ease. She just saw the special care staff responsible for taking care of Zhou Jiejia, Auntie Li, pushing the door out. She was holding some garbage and preparing to throw it away. Auntie Li, Qin Mingyan called. Oh, Mingyan, you are here? Auntie Li suddenly showed a smile because she knew that the person in front of her was the one who really paid her. And Auntie Li, I brought a friend to see Jiejia. How is she? Qin Mingyan asked with a smile. Fortunately, you also know, her current situation is like this. Auntie Li said with some sadness, you go ahead. I will go and throw away the garbage. Qin Mingyan nodded and went into the ward with Shuya. The environment in the ward was very good. It gave people a pleasant feeling of brightness, but at the moment, Qin Mingyan and Shuya's mood wasn't good at all. Zhou Jiejia? Shuya looked at the thin girl on the bed with some uncertainty. Her face was a little pale. She still looked the same, but at the moment she was more beautiful. Even though Zhou Jiajia was sick in bed, she was still very beautiful. Shuya couldn't help but be jealous of Yang Ming. Shuya, who was extremely confident in her own appearance, couldn't help but feel a little sour when she saw that Yang Ming had so many beautiful women around him. Not to mention Zhou Jiajia, Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun were first-class beauties. They weren't inferior to her. Especially Chen Mengyan, she could become a celebrity with a little makeup. Did you see it? Chen Mengyan said with some helplessness, Zhou Jiajia is like this now. She may lie in the bed for a lifetime. In an instant, all the unhappiness in Shu Ye's heart disappeared. Yes, what's the use of arguing with a patient? What's more, who can say clearly about the things that happened to children in the past? The two people stayed quietly in the ward for a while until Auntie Li came back. Chen Mengyan stood up and said, "Let's go back. It's late." Don't disturb Auntie Li and Jiajia's rest. And Shuya nodded and looked at Zhou Jiajia again. Then she left with Chen Mengyan. On the way back, Shuya was very silent. The former love rival and classmate is going to lie in the bed forever in the future? Is there any possibility of her waking up? Shuya was somewhat concerned about Zhou Jiajia. Yes, the doctor said that Zhou Jiajia may have something that she couldn't achieve, so she locked herself up. Yang Ming and I tried many times, but we couldn't untie her knot. Chen Mengyan smiled bitterly. The key problem is that Yang Ming and I don't know what her knot is. There is no way to treat the problem. So that's the case. Shuya nodded. As long as there is hope, it's fine. Anyway, there is time. We can try slowly. Yeah, Yang Ming and I bought a villa. We plan to take Zhou Jiajia over after school starts. When we have nothing to do, we can spend more time with her. Maybe there will be a miracle. Chen Mengyan said. This is also good. Shuya suddenly moved in her heart. She seemed to have vaguely guessed what Zhou Jiajia's so-called knot was, but she wasn't sure. Chen Mengyan's mood was also very low now. She didn't notice Shuya's strangeness and continued. Right, you haven't said it yet. How did you suddenly change your appearance? You know, I have also seen your photos. No matter how a person changes, they won't become the same as two people, right? You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.